I would like to call to order the Charter Township of Chesterfield regular Township Board meeting for Tuesday, June 9th, 2026 at 7 p.m. to order. Could we all please stand, face the flag, and recite the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Clerk Bear, would you call the roll?
Supervisor Kersten.
Here.
Treasurer Elliott. Here. Trustee Anderson. Trustee Joseph.
Here.
Trustee Hornberger. Here. Trustee Vosberg. Here. Clerk Berry is here.
Item 4, the approval of the agenda. Is there a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
Motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Support. Motion by Clerk Berry, supported by Supervisor Kersten. Discussion. Seeing none, Clerk Berry, would you call the roll?
Clerk Berry, aye. Supervisor Kersten.
Aye.
Trustee Anderson.
Aye.
Trustee Joseph.
Aye.
Trustee Hornberger. Aye. Trustee Vosberg. Aye. Treasurer Elliott. Aye.
Item 5, presentations. We have a presentation tonight. I will turn the floor over to Captain McNair.
All right, thank you. We have 4 cadets tonight that are transitioning to police officer after successfully completing the police academy last week. So since the inception of our cadet program 3 years ago, this will make 11 cadets that we are turning into police officers. So the department will now be staffed at 48 of the 52 positions we have, which is a huge accomplishment. We've been down the last few years. So we appreciate the board's support on that. So I'd like to recognize the hard work, dedication, and commitment of these officers that they studied countless hours, training, overcoming challenges, the blood, sweat, tears, but it just shows their dedication. I'd also like to acknowledge all their families, because it's the last time you're going to see them, on a holiday or on a weekend for a little bit, but no, this is it's a great job. Your family's going to make some sacrifices, but it's a really fulfilling job. And I think all you guys will enjoy it. So if you guys can come on up. Then to you guys, the road ahead is going to be challenging, but it's also going to be really rewarding. And I thank you for your commitment to this community. Our first officer is Officer Green. He's a graduate from the New Haven High School and holds an associate's degree from Baker College. Our second officer, Officer Chapman, is a graduate from Romeo High School and holds a master's degree from U of D. We have Officer Kozlowski, a graduate from Lance Cruz High School, holds an associate's degree from Macomb Community College. And Officer Moore, a graduate of Anchor Bay, who holds an associate's degree from Macomb. So at this time, I'll invite the clerk down to administer the oath of office, and then we'll get your families up here.
Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I do solemnly swear.
I do solemnly swear
That I will support the Constitution of the United States.
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
And the Constitution of this state.
and the Constitution of this state,
And that I will faithfully perform the duties
that I will faithfully perform the duties
of police officer
of police officer
in and for the Township of Chesterfield,
in and for the Township of Chesterfield,
County of Macomb,
County of Macomb,
State of Michigan,
State of Michigan,
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Mom? Dad? Call them up.
I'll move on. Item 5, department reports. We'll start with Director Palin tonight.
Thank you. I just wanted to provide a brief update on a couple of things. One is the ordinance or the ordinance drafting for the data centers. The Planning Commission is underway with that. The initial stages was just gathering some information, having some experts come in. We're still going through that process. The big one will be at the next meeting. We've retained a acoustics engineer, so he will be there at the next meeting. And then excuse me. Right now, we're kind of defining the terms, understanding what the different data centers are, and how to best regulate them for Chesterfield Township. So Supervisor Kersten did send out an email for the joint meeting on June 30th. The main purpose of that is going to be for the master plan review, but also we providing a more in-depth update on that ordinance at that time, and then in the future we'll see the public hearing and then the board adoption. I also wanted to provide some updates on what the Planning Commission has been up to since our last update a few months back. You'll see, I think you've probably seen the clearing of the land on 23 Mile Road by Feast. That's for Oak Hill Apartments. That's 44 units. Cotton Corners is on Cotton Road. Across from Waterside, it's 14 townhomes. 2 industrial buildings at 21 in Gratiot. The board approved the rezoning for Sheets at 26 Mile I-94. Morelli, 2 industrial buildings, lots 1 and 3 on Morelli Drive. The Salt River project has received its preliminary site plan approval. And then also a daycare next to the approved Starbucks. And with that, that's the major things, and I can answer any questions if anyone has any.
Any questions from the board? Thank you, sir. Next up, Director Vanderson.
Thank you. A couple updates from the Parks, Recreation, and Senior Services portion of the world. Following the Township Board's vote to allow residents free entry for Brandenburg Park, we have seen an incredible increase in traffic to our community center. In the past 6 weeks, we have given out about 2,000 resident passes for them to enjoy Brandenburg Park this year. The sentiment offered to our counter is overwhelmingly positive, and so I wanted to pass that along back to the board. As we move towards our ballot proposal for the August 4th Parks and Recreation Millage proposal, we continue to gather feedback. So our next visioning session is on June 17th from 5 to 6:30 p.m. I invite residents to come share ideas of the future of parks, spaces, and recreation facilities in Chesterfield Township. These events are designed to be an open house style forum where your ideas will be heard. Residents can arrive anytime during those planned sessions that we have for the August 4th millage and proposal, and to hear what we have planned for that and beyond. One of the items coming out of the Chesterfield Beautification Commission is a Chesterfield Cleanup Crew. This was an initiative founded by one of our newest members, and they have now met twice, starting on May 30th was their first meeting. They have had over 20 people come out and put in over 20 plus hours of service towards Chesterfield Township and cleaning up the community. So we encourage anyone who is wanting to come to those. They meet at Brandenburg Park at 10 o'clock on Saturdays and then disperse from there to different areas of the township. Our summer discovery program also has plenty of updates. They are starting for the first day, Monday, June 15th. So many items begin the beginning of summer season. That includes summer baseball, the splash pad opening, as we know fish flies come back, but definitely summer camp is the biggest one for us. Visitors will notice more activity in the community center as it's filled with campers from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m., joining in with those senior fitness classes, cheer program, and facility rentals. The grant actually expanded this year, so instead of the 700 that we originally planned, as the grant explained, Or United Way explained when they came to the board, they were able to take more students. Our final count for this year is actually 875 campers that will be offered a free summer camp for 6 weeks of camp this summer. I know that we have some of the hardest working staff this year. So we will try to maintain the quality of customer service and availability, but as we head into the summer season, I appreciate any and all patience that can be offered as we work through the busiest time of our year. As always, a big thank you to the Township Board for your support in parks, recreation, and senior services programming as we continue to grow and expand what we can do for our residents. Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle. Next up, Mr. Sonnenberg.
Good evening. We just wanted to provide some highlights of some upcoming items that we have coming to the board and some things that we've been working on. So Amanda, if you'll go to that first slide. So one of the things that we're hoping to bring to the next board meeting is we've been working on some concept signage for the township, some branding. As you know, you can see the sign to your left is our current Brandenburg sign. They look really old, and it's something that we wanted to do for a while, but obviously we wanted to fix up our parks and get them to a point of pride before we went after the signage. So now we're working with a couple different sign vendors. We had multiple meetings. They're developing some price points that we're hoping to bring to the next board meeting so we can discuss those prices. It's really, we have a lot of frontage along Jefferson, so we're able to kind of add a consistent branding all the way down some of our major roads. So this is an example of the Brandenburg sign. You're fine. That was an example of the Brandenburg sign both day and night, just to show what it would look like lit up along Jefferson. Next slide. Thank you, Amanda. This is an example of one of our trailhead concepts. Now, these are only concepts. We are getting prices on all this so we can bring it back, but we just wanted to elevate our trail entrances. We got a lot of really nice trails, and we want to have some consistent things throughout the township. Next slide. This is just another picture of what it would look like at night, just to kind of give it some, you know, just some accent lighting, just for options that we could plan for the future, even if we don't do it now. Next slide. This slide is a picture to the left of the veterans community and our two path trails that go through there. Last week, they had their annual walk, run, and roll 5K event, and our team put some work into that. Well, you'll see that yellow line. If you've been there before, there's two sections of trail, and there's a bridge that connects the two, and then there's a little pond. Well, there was never really a trail to connect it. Even in our original plan, we had planned to put a trail extension in there. Well, it worked out really good before this race. It was one of the things they asked for. So our team and some volunteers came out, and we actually connected that. And what was nice is on the other side of the bridge, that's the trail there, but you'll see if you go over, if you have the chance to walk it and you go over to the other side, when you go over to the bridge, we actually connected the trail to an existing curb cut. So it's almost completely ADA compliant. It was a really nice event for people to roll those carts during that 5K around the path. So we encourage people to go there and check it out. Next slide, please. This is something we'll be bringing up. It's something our group has been talking about a lot. Obviously, we know we've had that grant for Brandenburg Park for a public safety and facilities building. We're weighing out all our options. We're having a lot of discussions internally where that building will go, how it'll operate, where it'll be best positioned in the park. We looked at the old barns versus developing some new space on the other side of the park with a combination of working space with also rental space. We have such good success in our rental building. We thought maybe we can incorporate some space into our new building that could become public rental space with restrooms closer to those playscapes. So we'll bring all that information. This slide here kind of represents one of many concepts that we've done internally to kind of develop that park. Obviously, we're showing what we want it to be when it's finished, and you'll kind of see those colored lines represent the three new playscapes and the pathway that we'll be talking about later, how we're going to interconnect that and how that will tie into that upper portion. This is something we're currently working on as well. Here at the building, as you know, we've completed our main office renovation. We're still working out the final phases. We're coming in under budget. Everything's looking really good. During that process, we replaced one of our worst roof sections, which is the back section above the private offices. If you've been in this building, you know there's a hallway that wraps around there. And the hope was when we redid that section of roof, we would have no more roof leaks. We still had a few. So we did a deeper investigation, come to find out, and looking at the roof, the steel roof that we have above our heads here is a vertical standing seam roof. They're usually to a 40 to a 50-year lifespan on these roofs. The problem we have when we investigated is they use this different kind of fastener, and what it's doing is it's causing a problem where it's creating a corrosion, a hairline crack in some of those vertical standing seams. So we're putting together a scope At the same time, we're looking at the solar panels on the roof. Those solar panels, typically now, I would never put those on the roof because they cause problems and leaks in the future. So what we're doing is we're reaching out to some engineering firms and some help, and we're putting together a scope to look at the solar panel assessment, the roof assessment, the front overhang here in front. That's why we haven't done this bed. We want to extend that overhang because what happens is it puts wear and tear on our front windows because the water, instead of coming out like your house and going over a soffit, falls right down the windows. So before we redo this bed, we want to make sure those three things are in line. So we'll be bringing that to the next board meeting as well. Slide-wise, that's all we have, but there's a couple other things I want to talk about. Obviously, Director Vanderson had touched on, we're working in summer camp, we're prepping, we've moved the desks from Anchor Bay that we talked about, we got the PA system operational, the cameras are going in. But one of the other things I wanted to highlight is, because it's older equipment at that building, we wanted to make sure that we did an air quality test for no reason other than just anytime you have older equipment, industry standards says you should pretty much do one. We did them here when I started. We did them on a regular basis. We did them here, we did them in the senior center, just to make sure there was no unknown issues that we had. So in completing our air quality test at the community center, especially before summer camp, we had a 23-page assessment. And I have a really nice breakdown, but what I'm going to do is give you the highlights because it's pretty detailed. So after doing multiple samples in the building, they walk around, they look for mold or mildew concerns, and then they set up equipment and they take air samples in these areas. There's really 4 major points to this report, and they're all really good. The first one is there is 0 mold or moisture concerns. In fact, the visual inspection turned up absolutely no signs of water damage, leaks, or mold growth. Furthermore, the air samples analyzed by the lab confirmed normal fungal ecology across tested indoor areas. Outdoors, the natural background air has a total fungal count of 2,830 spores. They do an indoor-outdoor sample to compare the two. The indoor sample total fungal count was very low. It ranged from 107 to 746. To give you an example, OSHA requires, it's way under the permittable level because the indoor spore levels are significantly lower than the outdoor environment. And following a similar pattern of natural outdoor molds, there is no hidden mold growth inside the building. The next one it covers is the ventilation of the building, fresh air intake and the fresh air balance in the building. Your indoor air levels have been measured between 438 to 542. That's a carbon dioxide level. To give you an example how low that is, the outdoor fresh air is 350 to 450. OSHA recommends anything over 1,000 parts per million is a concern, so we're well under that. The other thing the test looked at was gases. Everything from carbon monoxide, hydrogen sulfide, combustible explosive gases, and like volatile organic compounds. We got a 0 on all those, not one single thing. In fact, our pollen and dust count levels inside the building were actually lower or equal to the outside air. So what that says is the filtration system we have in the building is doing a fine job filtering the air. The next thing is the temperature. The temperature during testing ranged from 60 degrees to 69.6 degrees. The humidity stat was beautifully positioned between 58 and 47% humidity. This falls right in the recommended comfort zone. Keeping the humidity levels below 55 is exactly what you want to do to prevent any mold or fungal growth. The report concludes that no reasonable actions or air modifications or remedy steps are required. We have a solid, pristine baseline established, and the building is safe and ready for summer rush. So I just wanted to provide you with, because I know there was some talk at the board before and some comments made about the concerns in that building, and I just wanted to make sure that it's on our team to make sure we put those to rest. Now, I will say, I'm not saying we won't have HVAC issues. As we know, the equipment's old. We could have some trouble here and there. We also have a contingency plan in place for camp. We went out and got backup equipment prices, so if something does fail, we can roll in a mobile unit. So we're checking those boxes as well. So that's all I have. Any questions? Sorry about the long.
Anything? Trustee Joseph?
Josh, thanks for all of the independent sort of evaluation of that building. Sadly, those that really just come to the podium and hurl everything negative that they could possibly hurl include misinformation that scares people unnecessarily. This was an issue that was brought up at a couple of our senior meetings. Obviously, they're heavily use that building, And they say things like, you know, there's comments on Facebook and at the board meetings about asbestos and all of these contaminants. So I appreciate the extra time and energy and expense. I'm sure that our friends will find another way to attack us and attack, you know, everything in the township that's good. But that study does a lot to satisfy and calm down the misinformation that perpetually just comes from, you know, 5 or 6 loudmouths. But it's damaging and it's scary, and it's good that we put it to rest with objectively measured, evidence-based data and research and testing. So I know that you have a lot of things going on, but thanks for taking the time to clear that up, because it has been a reoccurring issue with our seniors in particular. So I'm very appreciative of the report. Thank you.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
Ms. Bouvet, all yours.
Thank you. Good evening. I have a quick report from assessing for our assessing audit. Reason Consulting, on behalf of the State Tax Commission, recently completed Chesterfield Township's Public Act 660 Assessment Rule and Practices Audit for assessing. The audit evaluated assessment administrative procedures, land value development, economic condition factors, border review practices, exemption processing, assessment records, public accessibility, and compliance with the State Tax Commission standards. There was one finding that involved the language contained in the poverty application that on May 12th, the board adopted the revised poverty language through a resolution incorporating the language requested by the auditors. As a result, the deficiency has been corrected, and the township now satisfies all applicable requirements regarding the poverty application guidelines and asset testing. So on May 29th, Reason Consulting advised the township supervisor that the Chesterfield Township Assessing Department was given the designation of substantially compliant with no follow-up review required. I would like to take this time to thank the Township Administration for your support throughout the audit process. The results reflect the Assessing Department's continued commitment for maintaining accurate assessment records, complying with the state requirements, and providing fair, consistent property tax administration to our taxpayers. So lastly, I would like to take this opportunity to recognize my clerical employee, Madison Heyman, for achieving her Michigan Certified Assessing Officer certification. She is now known as a Level 2 Assessor, MCAO. Madison passed her final exam on June 1st after completing a year-long program studying after normal business working hours and spent many nights and weekends achieving her certification. This achievement is a testament to her hard work, dedication, and commitment to serving Chesterfield Township residents. So thank you. Any questions?
Thank you. And any questions for the board? Treasurer Elliott.
Congratulations to you on the audit, and also to Madison. Thank you. Good work.
Thank you. That concludes department reports. I'll bring it up to the board. Board have department reports. Trustee Joseph.
Yeah, just one quick update from our senior advisory committee meeting, which was last night. The Ms. Vanderson came forward and updated us and the seniors with a number of things that she touched on tonight. So I won't rehash those. The Lisa Mittner, who is the chairperson of the Senior Advisory Committee, was also tapped for her expertise and her engagement with the county. She serves as the representative from Chesterfield on the Older Adult Advisory Committee with the county. she reported to the group that there was the county's meeting was held in the Roseville Community Center. She did point out that she likes our community center a little bit better, but that the information that she gained from the Roseville or the county meeting dealt with a special needs program that she thought maybe we could take a look at here. And specifically, it is a program that involves, well, I probably won't do it justice, but in essence, the idea is that a family that has a special needs individual, when they are in a vehicle, that the vehicle would contain special markings indicating that there's a special needs passenger in the vehicle, and that there would be included a QR code that would give a little bit of information about that particular individual's needs. Sometimes in a hectic situation involving a crash, the challenge can be exacerbated when there is a special needs passenger that the first responders are unaware of. So this was a program that was started. I believe she said it was started in Roseville. They're very proud of it. It's expanded to a number of law enforcement agencies around the county, and something that we will, of course, take a look at. A few other issues involving just the building itself. We continue to be responsive to the needs of our seniors. It's a heavily utilized building, and there's quite a few people in there on certain exercise days, and so they're struggling to keep up with the heating and cooling. When you get hundreds of people, some are cold, some are hot. We're working it out, and I appreciate Josh's presence there last night to talk about some low-cost ideas to take care of those problems, including potentially adding some ceiling fans when there is a light replacement scheduled later for this year. On June 16th, the seniors will host a summer party that they will pay for out of senior funds. There will be a catered lunch to the first 75 seniors who've registered. As you can imagine, those tickets went very quickly. There is an opportunity to purchase lunch. There is a band scheduled to be there from 1 to 3, and this is over at Brandenburg on June 16th. And the last thing I wanted to share was one of our committee members talked about the 5K that was held this weekend at the Veterans. Josh gave us a little bit of a presentation on the trails. And this particular committee member got emotional when she was talking about the ceremony and the honoring of the veterans that was held out at that event. She was very appreciative to the board and to the Parks and Rec department for hosting and sponsoring such a well-run and well-organized event. The trails were perfect, and they were accessible to, I think, our most deserving residents, those who find themselves in a very disabled space in their life as a result of their service to our country. So for Chesterfield to honor them on a just as something as simple as this 5K event that traversed the trails over at the Veterans Grounds was very emotional to her and very appreciative to her. And I wanted to share that with the board because it was a wonderful event that was a lot of good people in our Parks and Rec department and our facilities and operations went above and beyond to provide, and Charlene certainly acknowledged that, and I appreciate her participation. Thank you.
Clerk Baird.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. The clerk's office updates for this meeting. Wanted to update the board as well as the public. We've had a number of special assessment district publications and requests that have come through, and so we just wanted to get everyone up to speed on the dates so that, I know it is confusing because there's quite a few of them. For Killawald and Nautical Drive, that SAD publication is scheduled for June 10th and June 17th. It is scheduled for a publication in general circulation. It's also published on our website as well as in the clerk's office. That is where those publications can be found. Also, a public hearing for the SAD member public hearing is scheduled for June 23rd, 2026 at 7 p.m. and all special district members are notified. And the last one is our annual hearing. We have that for our public safety SAD every year. That is required by the structure of that funding mechanism. And that is going to take place on Tuesday, July the 28th, 2026. We get calls every year about that. We are required to notice the public every year that that hearing takes place. And inevitably, people will call and ask, they think it's new, maybe because it's the first time they've seen it. But ever since the Public Safety Department has had an SAD, we have been mailing that postcard as required. Key dates coming up for the August 2026 primary. June the 10th of this year, an early voting notice is mailed to all registered voters. Again, as required by law, we are required to notify all of the electorate when early voting begins and where they can cast a ballot and how they can cast that ballot. Early voting will be held beginning on July 25th and ending on August the 2nd, 2026. That is inclusive of Saturdays and Sundays. So July the 25th from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. here at the municipal offices. That is every day, Saturdays and Sundays included. And should there have been the first year that early voting was initiated, we actually had a federal holiday as well, and we were open on that day as well for early voting. So the difference here, and that's important for everyone to note, is that our early voting is now going to take place here at the municipal offices. 2 years ago, that took place at our community center. That has been moved. And everyone, and again, we noticed all residents and all registered voters to that change. So if you want to vote early, you can begin doing that July 25th here at the township offices. For those who are going to be voting by absentee ballot in the upcoming August primary, your ballots will be available on June the 25th, 2026. For those who have requested that a ballot be mailed to them, you should have that ballot in hand by that date. If you do not receive an absentee ballot that you are expecting to receive, please contact the clerk's office and let us know. We can track that ballot for you, or we can also help you learn where you can track your own ballot through the Michigan Voter Information Center through the Secretary of State's office. Lastly, we are asking for election inspectors. If anyone is interested in working the election, it's a lot of fun. Actually, we do have a good time, but it's a great way to serve your community. We are seeking and in desperate need of election inspectors. To be an election inspector, you need to be a registered Michigan voter, 18 and up. However, there are exceptions that are made for 16 and 17-year-old student inspectors. There are special rules that apply to those, but if you do know a 16 or 17-year-old who would be interested in beginning to learn elections, they're very valuable because they're very computer savvy, and we found them to be very, very helpful when utilizing our technology that we use in elections now. You simply need to file an application with the clerk's office. It is required that you do declare a party preference. That again is in the law. Many of our choices in terms of where inspectors are placed and how we manage inspectors we have to remain, have partisan balance. So we need to know which you are. Now, I know a lot of people will say I'm an independent. Independent is not a recognized political party in Michigan. What that means is that you're a ticket splitter or you're a weak partisan. But in the case of election workers and election inspectors, every election worker and inspector must declare a party. Now, that can be a third party, so any recognized third party, Libertarian, Green, U.S. taxpayers, any of the recognized third parties are acceptable, but you can't say independent. So Republican, Democrat, and then any of the recognized third parties. And then we'd love to have people, again, with computer experience. Elections are becoming more and more electronically integrated. That's how we process voters on election day. That's how we process absentee ballots, and the like. So everything is tracked by computer. That's good because we have audit trails for everything. We also maintain a manual system alongside of that. So you can ensure that we do have a fallback system in the event that would fail, but you don't have to have computer experience. We will train you, but please, anyone you know who's interested, we are beseeching you, and I'll extend that to my fellow board members. We would love to have any of you working elections. That'd be great. The voter self-service, which I just referenced, the Michigan Voter Information Center, that is hosted by the Secretary of State, but that is accessible through our website on the clerk's page. It is also accessible on the Secretary of State's website. You can find out very important information such as update, where you are currently registered. You can update your address there. You can also apply for an absentee ballot online through that system. You can track your absentee ballot status. You can also find out your polling location. You can see your sample ballot. So a lot of people want to know what's on the ballot. You can actually see your actual sample ballot for your precinct online before you even go and vote. So you can maybe do some research and make some decisions perhaps before even coming to the polling location or receiving your absentee ballot. You can also view your voter registration record, which is something that has become more popular in current times ever since 2020. That's become very popular. How did you vote? When did you vote? Making sure that that voter record is accurate. If you see an inaccuracy anywhere in your voter record, please contact us and we can start the process of investigating why that error has occurred. And then lastly is just the contact information for staying informed and getting involved with elections here in Chesterfield Township. You can contact our office at the phone number with our extension, which is extension 5. You can email us, obviously go to the website, and then you can come in and visit us here at the Township office. Thank you.
Treasurer Elliott?
Mr. Supervisor, just get a quick follow-up, if I could, for the clerk.
Trustee Joseph.
Last night at our senior advisory meeting, there was some concerns expressed about the possibility of the August primary or even the November election, specifically as it related to early voting and the community center. One of our board members said that when the clerk gets in the building, it's like a bad case of bed bugs. You can't get her out. And the early voting, which seems to last only a few days in other communities, impacted programming at the senior center for weeks and maybe on months. So they were just a little bit nervous and apprehensive, but we don't have any plans for any voting activities to take place at the community center. Is that correct?
That's correct, and actually we can't change it now because there's not enough time for the primary. In order to change the early voting location, it has to go through our election commission, and it has to be approved, and there's not enough time to notice people. So we are going to be here, and which is great because everything is here, and so we're very happy to be here, and there's no plans whatsoever to be over at the community center. The only time that would happen is an emergency situation should a precinct have to be shut down, should there be some other emergency circumstance where that's the only other place that we could go. It is one of our backup locations, but only in the case of an emergency, and we've never had to do that.
Great, thank you.
Thanks. Treasurer Elliott.
What you're looking at here is the Treasurer's Investment Report, which will be emailed to our Township Board this week. The Township's investment portfolio remains focused on our primary objectives, which is, of course, preserving principal, maintaining adequate liquidity to meet operational needs, and maximizing returns within the limits permitted by law. As of March 31st, 2026, the Township's total investment portfolio was valued at approximately $29.5 million. The portfolio remains diversified while maintaining competitive yields. Overall, the portfolio continues to perform well while ensuring funds remain available to support Township operations, public safety, utility services, and employee benefit obligations. Slide 2, please. Well, this is slide 2. Okay. So in this slide, you'll see how the investments are allocated among the township's major funds and investment types. The largest portion of the portfolio, approximately 46%, is invested in U.S. Treasury bills. These investments provide strong security while generating competitive returns. The money market and J-fund investments represent about 44% of the portfolio and provide the liquidity needed for day-to-day operations and upcoming expenditures. The weighted average yields across all funds remain above 3.3%. This reflects the township's ability to lock in favorable rates while maintaining a conservative investment strategy. Percentage of investments by fund, we have the general fund accounts for about 26%. The water and sewer represents about 17%. Healthcare reserves account is approximately 4%. The allocation reflects the township's commitment to maintaining adequate reserves for future obligations, capital needs, and long-term financial stability. And the third slide here, we have interest income by fund that we've had, and this is a comparison chart. You'll see that the total accrued interest for the fourth quarter of 2026 was approximately $269,000, compared to $397,000 during the first quarter of 2025. While interest income remains strong by historical standards, earnings have declined from the prior year due to lower interest rates available in the market as investments mature and are reinvested. The largest earnings were in public safety at about $85,000. General fund was over $75,000. Water and sewer was over $75,000. The final chart visually compares interest earnings between the first quarter of 2026 and the first quarter of 2025. The decline shown across most funds is consistent with our broader interest rate environment and was anticipated during our budget development. Despite the lower earnings compared to the strong interest rate environment in 24 and 25, the township does continue to earn competitive rates while maintaining a very conservative investment approach. In summary, our township's investment portfolio remains strong, diversified, and compliant with the investment policy and Michigan investment statutes. Thank you.
Any further department reports from the board? I'll move on. Item 7, public comments on agenda items only. There's a 3-minute time limit. If you would please state your name. Not required. Helps us keep track. Public comments on agenda items only. The mic is open.
Good evening, James Locke. Good evening to Supervisor Kersten, Clerk Barry, President Elliott, and to the rest of the members of the board. I hope we have a better meeting tonight than we had 2 weeks ago. I wish you all the best. Maybe this board can get along finally. Let's please see if we can do that. Thank you.
All right, item A, Meldrum repaving SAD. I'm ready for this to go through. The road looks like Baghdad and making cars swerve, giant craters in the road. And the escape route that they use, residents fly down my newly paved street, so I'm looking forward to the project moving forward. Item F, resignation of Michelle Niza for the FOIA. Sad to read her resignation letter in short. There's obviously more to the story. Referencing political environment and her health and well-being is concerning. You must take care of yourself first, but it makes a resident wonder what kind of environment she is subjected to that is impacting her health, so I'm sorry to hear that. Item J, I really hope that the play structure design that the engineers are talking take into account problems I've already had brought forward about Brandenburg. I still would like to advocate for the updated swing set for children like my daughter, leading into item K. I hope some of these reallocated ARPA funds, a communication board for non-speaking children like my daughter, and the Toddler and Me swings for children like my daughter are some additions that we could see at Brandenburg. Item L, I can't wait for the connectability paths at Brandenburg for families who have children with disabilities and even neurotypical families who have strollers, making it easier to access the other new play structures in the park. Yeah, that's all I have. Thank you.
John Speaka, Chesterfield Township. Good evening to my tax and spend majority board. On the agenda item F with the FOIA coordinator, I've got some concerns with that, especially the resignation letter, which was addressed to the entire board. And it says, "It is with sincere regret that I submit my resignation as the township's Municipal Freedom Information FOIA coordinator at this time. I no longer feel comfortable continuing in this role for several reasons. I do not believe that I can remain effective in the current political environment," and I prefer not to elaborate further in this letter. Current political environment. She's a FOIA coordinator. Individuals come in, they request information, and the township is supposed to give the information. There's nothing political about requesting information. I respectfully request that a new FOIA coordinator be appointed as soon as possible to ensure continuity of service in my over 13 years of Chesterfield Township. I've always given 100% in my duties and have been committed to providing residents with excellent service and access to public records, and that is an absolute true statement. However, my health and well-being must take priority, and they are unfortunately being impacted due to the stress in the environment. That is huge. That just reinforces what Trustee Joseph has said several times. I don't know if his memory, if he'll be able to remember what he said, but this is a toxic work environment at this township, and it's led by Supervisor Kersten. Reading that letter is very troubling, and it should be troubling to this board. Michelle Niza is an excellent, awesome employee in this township. Anytime I needed anything, anytime I requested any FOIA information, and anytime anybody has requested it, she has done her job. She communicated well. She's been very efficient and very effective. So sitting on this board, I would have some huge concerns. I mean, and in some aspects, in the old Davis Joseph that I knew was right. This is a hostile, toxic work environment under Supervisor Kersten. This is a prime example. This has to end. You cannot replace these good employees.
Hi, to the council board. I live in Carriageway, okay? Park. I have a special needs daughter also, who is an adult. There is hardly any transportation in Chesterfield for these adults. And I have to go through in Lennox Township to get her to her day programs. Also, my daughter, who is also special needs, okay, cannot get the help she needs. There's not enough of programs in Chesterfield for these children that are special needs adults. We need more. We need more programs. We need more everything for our children that are special needs. I don't care what it takes. You have the money to do it because us taxpayers are paying for all this. We have the money. Use it to where it needs to be. And also for housing, do Section 8 for housing for low-income people. Because there's a lot of people that are getting evicted because our lot rent keeps going up and up and up, and there's no reason for it. And people have been evicted out of their homes with their children, no place to go. So we need low-income housing. Thank you.
Any more comments from the public? Move on to item 8, the consent agenda. Clerk Barry.
All items under the consent agenda are considered routine by the board and will be enacted in one motion. There is no separate discussion of these items. If discussion of any item is required by a board member, it will be removed from the consent agenda and considered separately. A, approval of the minutes of the regular board meeting of May 26th, 2026. B, approval of the payroll register report for week ending May 20th, 2026. C, approval of the payment of bills as submitted by the Finance Department. D, to approve a recommendation by the Department of Public Safety to authorize payment to Reliant Fire Apparatus in the amount of $9,620.64 for repairs made to the Fire Department's 2017 Pierce Enforcer fire truck. Mr. Supervisor, I'd like to make a motion to accept the consent agenda as presented.
Motion by Clerk Barry. Was there any support? Trustee Vosberg? Discussion? If you would all please cast your votes. Votes will appear once all votes are cast. Item passes 7-0. Item 9, public hearing.
Item 9A is to conduct a public hearing for the proposed Meldrum Street paving improvements Special Assessment District to consider objections to the petition for the improvement and the creation of the Special Assessment District.
Supervisor Kersten will make a motion to enter and open a public hearing,
Second.
supported by Clerk Barry. Would you call the roll?
Supervisor Kersten.
Aye.
Clerk Barry, aye. Trustee Anderson. Trustee Joseph. Trustee Hornberger. Trustee Vosberg. Treasurer Elliott.
At 7:53. Mr. O'Connor.
Good evening. We do have a couple of documents that probably will help during the public hearing. The first one is the plat of when Meldrum Road was created. It's from 1950. It's a 30-foot wide private road. It's worth mentioning the plat that abuts to it from the south didn't dedicate any right-of-way for Meldrum. So the only right-of-way for Meldrum at the time was a 30-foot wide private road platted in 1950. The next document is, in a lot of, we had informational meetings with the residents. We had 2 of them. A lot of questions was, one of the main questions is, when did that road get paved? So it appears that when they developed the condominium association on the other side of Meldrum, they also dedicated 30 feet and paved the road, Meldrum, across their frontage. And then it went back down into the existing 30-foot right-of-way and paved that also. And that happened in the late 80s. So we think the road was paved probably as part of a result of the condo development in the late 80s. And then there's about 100 feet that comes off Jefferson, off Salt River, that is public. So it's public coming off of Jefferson for Salt River, but then Meldrum itself is still private. And with that, we're available to answer questions.
This is a public hearing session. If anyone in this public wants to speak, now is the time. Anyone from Meldrum in the audience would like to speak?
Good evening. My name is Lauren Willie. I live at 33512 Meldrum. I submitted a formal objection to the Special Assessment District for the paving of Meldrum, and I just want to speak on those points. I do appreciate Mitch O'Connor and Ms. Beauvais' presentation of finding some additional facts, but I'm objecting to the district on grounds of appropriateness. I do understand that Meldrum Road is a private road. It's my understanding in the late 80s when the condominiums were built, they paved to have the road paved, and the south side of the road was dedicated to the public. And over the course of the years, that has been used by the public. I have been in contact with the county as well. I'm not sure of the questions I should be asking. I feel like I'm somewhere close to what I should be asking. I'm looking for some support from the township on helping me find what should be, because I feel that since the township or portion of the road was dedicated to the public when the road was paved, there had to be some more conversations. On the site plan, it says that Meldrum will remain private at this time. The likelihood of me opening a FOIA and finding out, like, you know, what exists going back to that time, I think is limited. The records retention is only 7 years, and there's some issues with the FOIA person right now. So
I'm asking for some assistance. I'm exercising my right to formally object. If it goes to the tax tribunal, I'm aware of the process. But again, I'm really looking for some collaborative support to see if this truly should remain a private road, or if it looks like at one point there was down the, we were on the path of making it public, and it just fell apart. So I appreciate your time.
Mitch, can you answer any of the couple of questions she had on when it was dedicated and who dedicated it, and where it came from?
Yeah, so the road, again, the land was platted in 1950 with a 30-foot private road for Meldrum. When this condo association developed on the other side of Meldrum, they dedicated 30 feet, but it's also private. To our knowledge, it was never a public road. So the condo, an additional 30 feet, so now there's 60 feet across the condo's frontage for Meldrum. But it's private. It was never dedicated or accepted by the County Department of Roads. And then once you get past the condos, it goes back down to 30 feet till it ties into, I forget the name of the street down there. Is it Bayshore? Till it ties into Bayshore.
Any more questions from the public? Trustee Anderson.
I guess my question would be just a clarification that.
Sorry, I couldn't get up quick enough, sorry. I just want to bring up, my name is Ann Bliss. I do live at 33523 Meldrum. We've lived there for over 30 years in the house and have never had such issues with people not getting along or agreeing to anything. We used to be a nice community there. All of a sudden, we have utility trucks doing, damaging our road. The road next to us gets paved, ours doesn't. Big house gets built in Point Lakeview. Macomb County trucks coming through with salt, gravel, damaging our roads. And now we have to pay for that. School buses come through, landscape companies come through. If we're gonna make something private, limit the access with something that no one else can come through but residents to use the road then, if we're paying for it. I don't know what the solution's gonna be. I hope it will be amicable, but like I said, I've been there a long time. We've seen a lot of stuff. I just wish that we could all just get along to a solution where it's not gonna hurt just one group of people. Because the people on Roselawn used our street when there was getting paved. Ours did not. So I would like to seek a little bit of assistance for taking that into consideration. Thank you.
Thank you, Mel.
Can I speak?
Great. I do live on Roselawn, and I appreciate your comments. However, I'm paying $10,000 for the next 10 years for that road. We are paying for it. That's why it was redone. I don't use Meldrum. It's garbage. It needs to be redone, but it is a private road. So ours is a county road, and we are part of a reconstruction program. I didn't sign up for that. I bought a house in an estate sale, and that project was already slated to go. So we got hit with a $10,000 bill right before Christmas in 2020. So I just wanted to say that. Thanks.
Thank you, ma'am. Comments from the public still? Trustee Anderson, go ahead.
Yeah, I took a ride up that road, and it is deplorable, to say the least. Someone used the term bagged, that might be kind. Unfortunately, it is a private road. I know there might have been a question at some point, Mitch, you said that's not a case, that currently it is a private road versus a county responsibility. I know as recently, well, 6 years ago, the then supervisor for a month utilized the roads there as a shortcut off of Jefferson while construction was being done on the trail there. The majority, understand, of the residents are in favor of the SAB.
I'm sorry, with removing Ms. Willie's petition from her signature from the petition, we're at 55.26%.
I can't come up with any suggestions, Mr. Kersten. I don't know if you can, being a private road, signage or anything else. I mean, anybody, it's a private road as far as the maintenance goes, but as far as anyone with a truck can go down it, kind of at a dilemma there. Thank you.
The only thing I can chime in is there are several of these, the boards have dealt with these, particularly along the water for years, non-through streets. This topic always comes up with the residents there. The street is open to the public. It has to be open to the public. Homeowners Association doesn't exist, so they're left with this process here of going door to door to try and improve their own streets. The conversations with the Department of Roads, as Mitch indicated, unless they accept the road to their engineered standards, they don't want the road and they claim no responsibility to it. I'm not going to say that that's not a difficult conversation. We have that continuously. Kilowald, we're dealing with them right now just to get the approach in the county right away paved and maintained. Other than dedicating township dollars to offsetting the cost for the city, that's really all we're left to do. And to Christine's point, it is a private road. There is a mechanism where you could turn it into a private road and put gates up in that hole, but that would be a problematic, costly event too. So we're limited as to what we can do as a township. Keep in mind, we've got to provide public safety. We've got the comment, school buses got to traverse the road. There's residents that live down there. When somebody builds a bigger house, all those cement trucks, so those are things we cannot control. And it's permitted, and they know when they buy the property, it's in a private subdivision. It's unfortunate. Our role as a township is very limited when it comes to maintaining, managing roads, and unless there's a homeowners association, it falls back on the homeowner's responsibility. Did I miss anything, Mitch? You want to chime in?
No, and you're right, these private roads but we have repaved Fortin, which is a private road, special assessment, Edgewater, Salt River further on. A lot of them are on that side of Jefferson. That's just the way they platted the land back then. So it's a problem, but we have moved forward with some projects.
And I'll chime in too, just on this, and I know this historically. In the old days, when this was a much smaller community, our water and sewer department did do work by the hour sometimes. They did manage some of these private streets. We're going 30 years back where that practice was common and without an SAD, work was done. Unfortunately, nowadays in our environment, I don't have that flexibility to direct township staff to go out and maintain a private road. And hence, that's why we're here with districts. I can keep going. It's an unfortunate problem we have here in the township. Yeah, if you want to come up, I'll let you speak again.
Would be able to bill either to the township or the county for the intensive use that was experienced when the Salt River Bridge project. Meldrum was the end of the road. That traffic was going down. I submitted pictures to the trustees after the county was adamant that they never used Meldrum. They used it when they were paving the entrance to Meldrum just a couple weeks ago, knowing that I have some questions about this. It was common practice. Is there a mechanism in place short of being litigious? That's not my interest here. I'm a community member. I live and I work here. I want to, be a partner in this. There has to be insurance for these companies. They did damage to the road over the course of these repairs, and I'm grateful for the repairs, but I don't think the residents of Meldrum should be standing alone holding the buck for this, especially since the last repair was in the late 80s, the pavement. Who maintained it from the late 80s until this time? This will be essentially a new tax, and that's why it has to be appealed to the tax tribunal. I want to be a partner in this, but if the South Side was dedicated, I don't know how to go about having the conversations, who should be part of these conversations, if the township even wants to support the residents of Meldrum and having those conversations.
My response to you is I'd love to be a partner with you if I had any authority or jurisdiction to do so. Your comments about the bridge project, that was a Macomb County Department of Roads project. We really had no say in it, other than I believe the board did fund a portion of the bridge. So we're in a tough spot as you are. I'd love to fix all the roads in the township and we have a hard time just managing state and county roads as it is. So my hands are tied, and the board's hands are tied. Trustee Joseph, yes.
Yeah, I think the past practice, we've run into this, and as we grow as a township, we have, well, I think Ms. Ross kind of epitomizes some of the feedback that we get from outside of the special assessment district, whatever it is that we're talking about, whether we're talking about retention ponds or some of these costs that are associated with specific districts, that they only benefit a specific district. It does tend to pit, that district against the entirety of the township. This individual who gets up and she talks about the, past practice, and there were rumors or, an understanding that this was, at least half of it was public. None of that is substantiated by the county. This is, in essence, a private road. And I understand fully when she says, well, okay, but we're private, but we don't have the authority to restrict traffic in the way that we would like to. And when my colleague, Trustee Anderson, just slid to me some correspondence that was sent to the residents in that neighborhood when the bridge was being done, and the notification, which was really just notification because the county was directing the detour on Jefferson down Roselawn. That was the mechanism to traverse the Jefferson corridor to the south. Those are problems, but they are not. There's not anything that the township board can do, because you're caught between the county's determination and the special assessment district of a private road. In this case, what we're trying to do is be responsive to the majority of the residents on that, in that district, who have, by majority, indicated that they need to do something about Baghdad, and they want the township to sort of help lead that and basically safe travel. And that's what's before us tonight. As far as, litigation, if there's a private entity that comes in that does damage to a private road, I would think that the residents that own that road could take action and have their claims heard independent of the township. It has really nothing to do with the township. So I'm in favor of trying to do what we can to replace and repair Baghdad. Are not unlike the comments that we hear from, other residents when these SADs are discussed. Like, why would the north end be required to pay, a resident up there? And the things that we did in the past, we simply cannot do anymore. They're too much for the township to take on. When we were smaller and the costs were smaller, and it was something that I think could do, you can't. You just simply can't anymore. And it's unfortunate, but repairing that street is our objective tonight, and that's where I intend to go.
I just want to point out that I didn't approve this SAD for my street. We moved in and this was already a go. So I wasn't part of the majority of people. Do I want to pay $10,000? Absolutely not. We got stuck with it. We were the minority. And unfortunately, all these SADs are done by frontage. We have one of the bigger lots on the street. We got hit with the biggest bill. So it's not that we chose to or we wanted to or whatnot. It's just the majority rules, unfortunately, and we are just stuck. I mean, if we want to move, we could do that too, but something's going to cost either way. So I just want to point that out.
Thank you. Trustee Bossford?
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. Just a reminder, it's not the township that's actually doing this repair work. This work is being done by the County Department of Roads, I believe. And What we are providing is a funding mechanism to help defray having to pay all that cost up front. We're helping to defray that. That's a tool that we have. That's about the only tool we have. But in terms of the mechanism, about the streets itself, the use of the streets, the construction of the streets, if that's all part of the department of the county road department, then that would be, in my opinion, that would be where you should be calling. And I can give you that phone number right now of the county executive who, pardon me? Okay, but the county, they report to the county executive. So if you want his phone number, it's 586-469-7001. So I would call there also. Thank you.
Anyone? Clerk Beard.
Thank you. One other option, although it may not be viable for you, but I recommend that you look into it, is there is a mechanism in a way in which you can, privately owned roads can have ownership transferred to the county. However, you need to bring the road up to the county standards first. So that may end up actually being more expensive, but it is another option so that at least so in the future, if the county did accept that road from you, then they would take on the future maintenance costs.
So one of the discussions that I have is exactly that, and as I stated earlier, when an individual from a private road first asks about paving or maintaining the roads, the best option is for them to do it on their own. Leave us out of it. Get with your neighbors. The problem they have, as the resident said tonight, most of them don't see eye to eye and don't want to share the costs. So we become the next mechanism. The conversation then leads to, well, if you want to turn the road over to the county, it has to be designed and engineered, Mitch, jump in, to their specs and standards, and that is usually 4 or 5 times the cost of what just the rehab is. So those conversations with the residents start right from the beginning when we meet with them originally, and did I miss anything?
No, all those things are discussed and were discussed at the informational meetings with the district.
And this issue is not going to go away. We are a community full of private streets and private roads, particularly along the waterfront. And this is a growing request as those roads deteriorate and there's no maintenance for them. So I'll ask, is there any more public comments or questions? Anything on this topic? On this topic? Yes. Okay.
Also, with the problems that we're having on 23 Mile Road in Gratiot, there's so much flooding that goes on. When we have heavy rains, it floods so badly that you can't even get through, and people have gotten stuck in the roads. 23 Mile Road has been redone probably about 3 or 4 different times. I was coming down 23. There was cement block like this in the road. What are we doing about this? We are paying taxes for everything, and nobody's doing anything about that road on 23 Mile Road. And it floods and floods. And then it also floods in our park due to the fact because they keep saying, oh, it's Chesterfield's Township. They're not opening up the floodgates. We get flooded out, Gratiot gets flooded out, and you can't even go through any of it. And the roads on 23 Mile Road is horrible, especially by the railroad tracks, past the railroad tracks. And there are cement coming up, and they have been fixing that road I don't know how many times, and they're using all the wrong material. And I used to work on construction, so I know what I'm talking about.
Is there any more public comments? Any more public comments? Supervisor Kersten will make a motion to close the public hearing. Is there any support? Support. Clerk Berry. Clerk Berry, call the roll.
Supervisor Kersten. Aye. Clerk Berry, aye. Trustee Anderson. Aye. Trustee Joseph. Aye. Trustee Hornberger. Aye. Trustee Vosberg. Aye. Treasurer Elliott.
At 8:16. Item 9B.
Item 9B is to conduct a public hearing for June 9th, 2026 at 7 p.m. to consider a request from Chesterfield 5 LLC to establish an Industrial Development District IDD to be known as 21 Mile Industrial Number 35.
Supervisor Kersten will make a motion to open the public hearing. Is there any support?
Second.
Clerk Barry again. All those in favor?
You gotta do
Oh, I'm sorry, roll call. Roll call. Clerk Barry.
Supervisor Kersten.
Aye.
Clerk Barry, aye. Trustee Anderson. Trustee Joseph.
Aye.
Trustee Hornberger. Trustee Vosberg. Treasurer Elliott.
8:16. Public hearing's open. Mr. Acabelli.
53639 Christie Drive, Chesterfield, Michigan. Greg Icabelli here representing Chesterfield 5. We're here tonight to ask the board to establish an IDD district for 2 future industrial buildings that are going to be built on the north side of 21 Mile Road, just west of Gratiot, adjacent to the shopping center there. I'd like to just, what the IDD does, it's just establishing the industrial development district. It's the boundaries of the property where the facilities will be built. It's not, there's always a little confusion with these meetings there's no tax abatement or anything being asked for tonight. This is the first step in the process of establishing the ability for future businesses to apply for a tax abatement down the road. This isn't a hearing for that. This is just a hearing to establish the boundaries where the future businesses will be located, and then they'll come at a later date and apply for tax abatements. And they might receive them, they might not. The tax abatements there's certain guidelines. They're strictly set up for manufacturers, so it'll be more for they're more to establish businesses that manufacture products. It's not, if it's a FedEx distributorship, it won't qualify for a tax abatement or any type of logistics, or strictly for manufacturing. And it's just a tool to it's a tool to help attract businesses to come create jobs. And it doesn't really cost the township any money. It's the more state abatements that are available for the tenants and the future business owners there. And I handed out the boundaries of the thing. I don't know if we have it on there, on the aerial there. But the project has gone through site plan approval. We're in for engineering review as we speak, and we'll be applying for building permits in the next week here, and hopefully be looking to break ground in the next 30 to 45 days on them.
Thanks, sir. Any comments from the public? Any comments from the public on this matter? This is a public hearing for the IDD request. Seeing none, Supervisor Kersten will make a motion to close the public hearing. Trustee Vosberg. Clerk Barry, would you call the roll?
Supervisor Kersten.
Aye.
Trustee Vosberg. Treasurer Anderson. Trustee Anderson. Trustee Joseph.
Aye.
Trustee Hornberger. Treasurer Elliott. Clerk Barry, aye. Close it. 8:18.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
We'll get right back to you. Item 10, the regular agenda. Item 10A.
Item 10A is to adopt Resolution 2026-28, number 3, for the installation of Paving Improvements Special Assessment District, SAD, for Meldrum Street, which confirms the sufficiency of the petitions and to create the Special Assessment District.
Is there a motion to approve? Motion by, just a side note, there has to be a term of years here. Let me do the motion there. Motion by Trustee Joseph, supported by Treasurer Elliott. Carrie, all yours.
There is one change to this resolution. Did you want to address that, Clerk Barry?
Thank you. Yes, I was just about to do that. You can see on your agenda it is printed 2026-27. That was a typographical error. It is 2026-28. And that was recorded in the motion.
Thank you, appreciate that. Okay, this is the Meldrum Street where the average taxpayer was $5,600. We do have, as a board, it is up to you to determine the number of years for this special assessment. Typically, it's 5 to 10 years. We have given a spreadsheet of what we have done in the past. That was given out to everyone, I believe, and it's up to the board to determine the number of years. Okay. Would you like to?
Hank and Dave, it's this spreadsheet here in the far upper right column.
And further, just for reference, on the spreadsheet, you'll see Edgewater, Salt River, Fortin, which again are all private roads on that side of Jefferson that have recently gone through the SAD process. And on those, we did a 10-year assessment, just as a recent point of reference.
Mr. Supervisor, I'd like to include in my motion that the period of time in the resolution be 10 years. And would ask for continued support.
Is there continued support? Yes, there is. Treasurer Elliott's continued support. Discussion from the board? Any comments or questions for Mitch or Carrie? Seeing none, I have a motion by trustee Joseph, supported by treasurer Elliott, to approve item 10A with the term of being 10 years included in the resolution. If you'd all please, Clerk Berry, did you have something? If you all please cast your votes. The results will appear once all votes are cast. Item passes 7-0. Item 10B.
Item 10B is to approve a request from Chesterfield 5 LLC to establish an Industrial Development District IDD known as 21 Mile Industrial IDD number 25 and adopt resolution number 2026-26.
So moved.
Motion by trustee Joseph.
Support.
Support by Clerk Berry. Discussion from the board. Trustee Joseph.
Yeah, I just wanted to thank Mr. Ecobelli for bringing this forward. The Industrial Development District, especially in this particular area, is a very nice fit for the property. I think it does a lot to, one, address some needs in terms of the industrial space as outlined in the master plan. But more importantly, anytime the township grows, the one thing that we hear from residents is concerns about parking, traffic. This particular project and the vision for this district, industrial complexes are typically not great strains on traffic, parking. They are excellent sources of revenue, and as Mr. Ecobelli pointed out, this is not a blanket approval for tax abatements. It is just a mechanism that establishes the district, and when individual petitioners come forward, they must meet very stringent guidelines in terms of qualifying for any kind of tax abatement. And typically those are not only reviewed internally to make sure that they satisfy the requirements, but there have been cases, especially with brownfield designations and so forth, that require approval from the county and the state. So it's by far not an automatic, and this is the first step. And I'm grateful to see Greg Icabelli kind of stewarding this, and appreciate his investment in the township. His projects are typically done top notch, and this looks to be another example of his work. So enthusiastically support the approval of this district.
Thank you. Any further comments? I would like to note that Mr. Ecobelli is a township resident, and the designs are amazing, and I can't wait to see his project get going. So I have a motion by trustee Joseph, supported by clerk Berry, to approve item 10B. If you would please cast your vote. Results will appear once all votes are cast. Item passes 7-0. Congratulations, sir. Item 10C.
Item 10C is to approve a request by Public Services to authorize engineering design services to Spalding DeDecker for the Meldrum Road Paving Special Assessment Project in the amount of $23,146.28. Further, amend the budget to increase GL account 805-446-929-000-P0055 by $23,646.28 for the Meldrum Drive SAD.
Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Clerk Barry, is there any support? Supervisor Kersten will support. Mr. O'Connor?
Good evening. So the next step for Meldrum is to now prepare bidding documents to receive bids. That process takes probably 2 to 3 months. After we get the bids, we'll come back to the board if the bids come in proper, with a recommendation to spread the roll. So this is similar, again, to what we did with all the other private streets, Edgewater, Salt River, Fortin. Once we get to this step, we authorize Spalding to do the engineering design to prepare bidding documents so the bids can be publicly opened and read.
And just some housekeeping that I can add on here. You'll see that this is now in a budget amendment, which will be included in items like this. And you'll also see the use of the 800 series accounts to individually track these, which was just recently set up by the Woodhill Group. So, any questions from the board? I have a motion by Clerk Barry, supported by Supervisor Kersten, to approve item 10C. If you would please cast your vote. Results will appear once all votes are cast. Item passes 7-0. Item 10D.
Item 10D is a recommendation from Supervisor Kersten to reappoint Brian Carr to the Planning Commission for a term ending June 1, 2028.
Is there a motion to approve? Trustee Vosberg, Treasurer Elliott. Just trying to catch up on reappointments to several boards. We kind of lagged behind. Mr. Carr, I don't believe, could make it tonight. So any questions, discussion from the board? Trustee Joseph.
Yeah, Mr. Supervisor, I am opposed to this appointment, and I'd like to list a couple of reasons why. One, I think that our Planning Commission should always present an opportunity for petitioners to be successful. And I don't like, well, with this particular individual, I'll give you an example. A few years ago, we had a project that was approved by planning. The construction was underway. The project was in essence shut down because it was alleged that the petitioner, the developer, was not in compliance with the township ordinance requiring that the facade be comprised of brick or better. It was an exhausting process for this particular project to even get approval, and once the approval had been given, the project was underway. As I said, the project was shut down because it violated, allegedly. The petitioner came forward to the township and requested, because there was significant sums of money being tied up in the completion of this project, a special meeting of the Planning Commission whereby the petitioner came forward with their attorney, their builder, their engineers, and presented the samples of the material that was being used in the construction. Despite the fact that the petitioner had to spend their own money to conduct the special meeting, I was present that night. Mr. Carr arrived late. He was dressed in attire that looked like he had just come from a cornhole tournament at the Sugar Bush Tavern. He was carrying a large soda and took his seat on the board. And then his very first comment to the petitioner was that he did not intend to be lenient in his interactions with this particular project. He did not intend to be lenient. Long story shorter, not only was the developer 100% in compliance with the brick or better, this particular case actually sparked a decision by the planning department to review the ordinance, to review the ordinance to include this particular developer's product, the product that they had intended. I found his treatment of that developer, that investor, that petitioner to be abhorrent. It was unprofessional, and it's not an isolated occurrence. I think that when we look at some of the decisions that our planning team makes, and we're dissatisfied with the number of storage units, car washes, I think it's incumbent, Mr. Supervisor, to make some changes in that group. And I would start with Mr. Carr. I do not believe he has demonstrated the justification for having his appointment renewed. And I would, if the board's pleasure is to approve this particular planning commissioner and reappoint him, I would strongly ask you, Mr. Supervisor, I know that you conduct interviews with these candidates, I would strongly request that you have some conversations with him about, one, being professional, and two, looking to help our petitioners. Obviously, if they're not in compliance with the ordinance, I'm not asking that we turn a blind eye to areas of concern with projects, but to be supportive and helpful and be pro-business. Pro-business requires more than just a simple denial. It includes some constructive feedback on how to bring the project into compliance, and that seems to be lacking from this individual. And again, I would one, request that he not be reappointed, and two, if it is the board's decision to reappoint, I would really strongly ask Mr. Supervisor for you to sit down with him and talk about some of these concerns. Thank you.
I was unaware of that, Trustee Joseph. Thank you for bringing that to our attention. Quick question, did the township end up losing that business? Did we lose that development because of it?
No, the business was really far too engaged in the process, and they, on the night that I'm talking about at this particular meeting, they assembled their whole team, brought them in, and persuaded the rest of the Planning Commission, and it was actually Mr. Leonard who showed some real interest in the product. This particular developer brought samples, and they literally handed it down to the different Planning Commission members. There were products that they were unaware of. So it sparked, as I said, a change in the township ordinance to include specifically this particular surface panel. But it did not cost the township. But I'll be honest, I think that there were other projects where the petitioner lacked the resources that this particular developer had, and unfortunately couldn't overcome what could have been a very unfavorable outcome for the township and this particular developer.
Thank you.
Trustee Vosberg.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. I'm assuming this happened when Trustee Joseph was the liaison to the Planning Commission?
I was not the liaison at that point.
Okay. So question to the supervisor, did you interview him?
Yes, I interview. My process is, if you want to be reappointed, you have to reapply. You come in and sit down. Mr. Carr, I met with him twice. To Trustee Joseph's points, we have reframed and placed in guardrails. The brick or better nonsense that lived here for years has now been refined and defined, that material list. I continue to direct planning to open their minds, but also, as was stated, remain within the ordinances and building code, and know what every person's position and responsibility is on the specific boards. Insofar as Mr. Siebert attends all planning commission meetings, and obviously when controversial topics or positions come up, he immediately addresses it and puts them back in. So my interview with Mr. Carr has been exactly as was described. We are here to develop the community in a expeditious process that is within ordinance and code, and he's dedicated to that position, and I'll give him the benefit of the doubt for a reappointment. I will also note that there is one longtime member that is not going to be reappointed, and then we just reappointed a new member of the community to the board. So the changeover is coming and happening now, and then I see more changes in the future, just based on time and service here. Individuals are serving, in my opinion, longer than necessary, and we need to get fresh blood in there. Mr. Carr has, in my interview again, understood the direction, and again, that's why he's on for reappointment tonight. And I think that I think he understands the position of this board and community. Trustee Voss.
Just to follow up to that, there's many different people who are on that board bring different perspectives to the board. I think that that perspective that comes from him is sort of, he looks at the letter of the law type of perspective, but we do have many things in place, as you've already stated, that we don't have those strict rules of brick or better, especially when there's better material than brick now. So I think I favor this, and we'll vote for him. Thank you.
Yeah, I understand everybody's perspective. I know exactly what it is. I honestly, I used to text Jonathan during the planning meetings and out of frustration a lot of times, just trying to understand the ordinances and codes, and I've chose not to do that now. But again, I think Mr. Carr will service, and I think he understands the role and the direction that this board community wants to go in, and therefore I'm seeking reappointment for him. Any further discussion? I have a motion by Trustee Vosberg, supported by Treasurer Elliott, to approve item 10D. Would you please cast your votes? Results will appear once all votes are cast. Item passes 5-2. Item 10E.
Item 10E, Supervisor Kersten recommends the appointment of Christopher Robertson to the Zoning Board of Appeals to fill the unexpired term of Jacob Tratzek, with the term expiring on April 23rd, 2027.
Is there a motion to approve? Supervisor Kersten will make a motion to approve. Is there any support? Trustee Anderson? Again, this is an interview. This is a new individual to the zoning board. Jacob, if you recall, Jacob was a high school senior when we appointed him. He is now finished his U of M studies. He's moved on, learned a lot, and the individual, Mr. Robertson, I don't believe he was here tonight, could not make it, but through the interview process, did I miss something? No. Expressed a desire to join the zoning board, and I think that he will be a good fit for that board. Discussion? Seeing none, I have a motion by Supervisor Kersten, supported by Trustee Anderson, to approve item 10E. Clerk, would you please cast your votes? Results will appear once all votes are cast. Item passes 7-0. Item 10F.
Item 10F is a request to appoint a Freedom of Information Act FOIA coordinator for Chesterfield Township.
Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to appoint, to open the discussion to appoint a new FOIA coordinator for Chesterfield Township.
Is there any support to open the discussion? Seeing no support.
Okay.
Supervisor Kersten will make a motion to appoint Clerk Berry as the FOIA coordinator. Trustee Hornberger?
Nope.
Discussion from the board. Any discussion? Trustee Hornberger?
That's good. I can say that at this point, it seems logical that we have the person who is supposed to be in charge of the records and all of our records in charge of FOIA requests. And I believe one of the issues that Mrs. Niza had was, and I don't know if she would speak to this, but in my opinion, that the lack of being able to access records in order to fill FOIA requests was an issue.
Trustee Joseph?
Yeah, I'm trying to read the tea leaves a bit myself, and in the documents that were submitted to the board from Ms. Niza, Trustee Hornberger, it seems a lot like the dilemma that you had when you requested records. You went so far as to make a FOIA request. The documents were reportedly available. You had to go to the township attorney, and we're told that you didn't need a FOIA request, you just needed the documents. And I don't know if you ever got them, but the difficulty with a lot of these FOIAs does seem to be with securing the records. You can't satisfy a FOIA request to produce documents when the documents have not been properly, archived and stored and are available. So it creates ridiculous expense for the FOIA applicant to harvest the documents that should be readily available. In some pre-board discussion, I think Supervisor brought up in a fairly robust conversation that the township has spent considerable sums of money for Laserfish. The amount of conferences and trainings that the clerk has attended to, in theory, bring about records that are digitized and available. It's been over a decade, and we have nothing to show for it but a stressed out, and I do agree, it is toxic. It's very toxic to be in an environment where you don't have the resources to produce the things that are essential to FOIA. Freedom of Information Act requires that the information be available to the person that's gathering it. So with this motion, Mr. Supervisor, typically the FOIA, the clerk in most municipalities is the keeper of the records. That is sort of outlined in the job description. So it is a natural fit for the clerk to just simply receive the FOIA request and then harvest the documents through the well-organized office that she maintains. And certainly this should streamline the process, assuming that the records are where they're supposed to be. And it will require, I'm assuming, with the amount of FOIA requests that we receive, I think residents could, if the board does approve the recommendation to appoint Clerk Berry, I think the residents will enjoy the opportunity to see more physically of Clerk Berry if she's in the office satisfying FOIA requests. So it's a win all the way around. I think that it hopefully alleviates some of the toxicity that I happen to be in very rare agreement with one of the speakers who got up and talked about the toxicity. I think Clerk Berry taking the reins and just being able to produce documents that she's expertly and deftly organized will streamline the process and be a win all the way around. So this is a great recommendation.
Trustee Vosberg?
Thank you. I have a point of clarification. I believe the last time we approved, or we appointed There were two people, one for the public safety and one for the, do we need to differentiate that in this motion?
No.
Question, we can continue.
Public safety, there's an exception in FOIA for law enforcement, and
Okay.
that has been managed, and that's.
No need, that
no
one's
need
still
to
working.
address that
Thank
here.
you.
This is simply internally in township records management. Treasurer Elliott?
Just a question possibly for the township attorney. Does the clerk have to accept the appointment? I mean, you're making a motion, she hasn't spoken, does,
Does the clerk have to accept the position of FOIA coordinator? Quite frankly, I've never seen every municipality that I have represented currently or in the past, the clerk is the FOIA coordinator or the clerk appoints a designee, which the statute allows to be the FOIA coordinator, to actually do the work. I suppose she could say no. Why would you?
that I don't know.
The
I'm just
statute doesn't
asking.
address it. The statute says the township board shall appoint the coordinator.
Okay.
The coordinator then in turn can appoint someone to assist in preparing the documents and producing them under the statute. It's not that complicated, really. Maybe rather than a hypothetical, maybe the question is the clerk going to decline the appointment? And then if that happens, then we can address it.
Clerk Barry.
I will not decline the appointment.
There you go. Then it solved itself.
Trustee Joseph.
Yeah, just one quick additional point. Trustee Vosberg made the distinction about the FOIA coordinator in our public safety department. And I can just tell you that that runs like clockwork. I don't know how they're able to manage the volumes, of requests. Whatever's going on over in the public safety department, if the clerk wanted to stop by, talk to Captain McNair, get some tips and, figure out how to process those. But the last thing we need is our general township FOIA coordinator assuming the responsibilities in the PD. They're delivering almost immediately. I've asked for 2 incident reports, went down and paid my $5 and got the whatever the nominal fee was. They seem to have a good handle on records there, and I would imagine that makes the FOIA operation that much smoother. So definitely we don't want any cross contamination, if you will, there. And if anything, Clerk Barry, head over, talk to the administration over there, find out what they're doing, because they're killing it over there.
To your point, the exception for public safety or law enforcement records is very clear in the FOIA, so they're managing them perfectly. And I'm going to give you the lowdown. Number one, there's no central records management system. We've gone on 12 years of Laserfish, and Laserfish to this day isn't even functioning properly. The elements that do function within Laserfish, water and sewer is using it and building is using it. The clerk's department is not using it. For whatever reason, I don't know. But it's just bad practice and bad operational. So what we have is a designated FOIA coordinator who spends an exorbitant amount of time stressing out, trying to collect documents for records that no one knows where they're at. They're either in hard form paper, they're in somebody's office, they might be in a shared file, they might be here. That whole network is a complete disaster. To everyone's point, FOIA is not hard. It is a very simple process. It's getting through the muck and the mud internally here and how the records are stored and kept. I've been an advocate since I came on from Laserfish. To the point back in March of 2022, I asked the board to take over cannabis applications. We spent $26,000 again for Laserfish. That portal for our cannabis applications, thank God that industry has gone dormant for a bit, but that doesn't work. It still doesn't work today. We should have never selected this program. Unfortunate, my position is, we spent $500,000 on this technology, and I cannot walk away from wasting $500,000 on residents' money just because it's been mismanaged internally here. So, at my direction, and again, the FOIA designee is very frustrated with me because I don't think it's that difficult, but understanding what the task is to manage and collect this data, it does become frustrating. When you have to search email servers for a specific word unrelated to or related to a FOIA request, and you come up with 14,000 emails in the database or the email server, how much time do you think that's going to be to vet through and select the right one? On the flip side, I don't want a FOIA requester getting just bland emails of every keyword search that is relevant to just that word, not what the specifics are. And again, our FOIA, our township policy, our APO, the guide is very clear. It's very simple, easy to follow. It just never has been. And the frustration for the employee is the same as the supervisor's office, is the same as the clerk's office. We should not be here. This shouldn't be a discussion. This is a very simple task. I think the police department, the last number I heard, was over 800 FOIAs a year, or to date, held flawlessly, and I think we were at 80 and we're struggling. Makes no sense. So it's unacceptable to me. The documents you received today said, I don't believe in transparency. No, quite the opposite. Every document we create here is a public document, and it should be available to any resident at any time, at any minute when they walk up to the counter and say, I want to reference or I want a copy of this document. And we can't do that. We go on a bunny chase, and it costs extra money. The cost is deferred to the FOIA person, and next thing you know, you get an email or a call from an attorney or a group saying, why am I paying this amount of money for a very simple document? Poorly managed, poorly overseen. My frustration in both the meetings with Laserfish, which as of a month ago, because I didn't want to step on the clerk's toes and following township established policy before me, I backed away. I told the records manager, you continue implementation with the vendor, but get this system up and running, get it forward facing, get the network, get the departments in. It's not working. And not only is the records manager in the clerk's office very frustrated, she's soon to go out on take a vacation, and we have no progress. I've got no input. I've got no one other than stepping into this management role of records management, which then steps on the clerk's responsibilities. I'm pushing myself into areas that I shouldn't be, that I don't want to be in, and I shouldn't be in. But I go back to, this is a poorly implemented records management process that we have been dealing with now for 11 years, and I don't know where to go. That's my frustration. I know that's the employee's frustration, and it's a very simple fix. I don't know what the issues are, and it's very, very frustrating day to day. That's my soapbox. Would you like to respond, Clerk Barry?
Nope.
Any further questions, discussion? And I'm just going to, I'd love to sit down and figure out what you're going to do next with Laserfish. I really would. Because that employee is going on vacation. There's no implementation plan. And the testing phase is not working.
Mr. Supervisor, that employee is having surgery for a chronic.
I don't want to discuss her. I don't want to
Don't say
discuss
she's
that.
going on vacation. She's not going on vacation.
That is nobody's business where she's going. She's going on vacation. Let's talk about the records management system here.
She's not shirking her responsibilities. She's
not.
going on medical leave, and you don't have to worry about it. I'd be happy to sit down with you anytime.
Please don't discuss employees. Please don't do that. She's not going to be available. This is your responsibility. You took this on.
I'd be happy to speak with you anytime.
Thank you. We'll set up another Zoom call. Any other discussion? I have a motion by Supervisor Kersten, supported by Trustee Hornberger, to approve item 10G as with Clerk Berry being the FOIA coordinator. Would all please cast your votes? It changed. Clerk Berry, would you call the roll?
Supervisor Kersten.
Aye.
Trustee Hornberger. Trustee Anderson. Trustee Joseph. Trustee Vosberg. Treasurer Elliott. Clerk Berry, aye.
Item 10H.
You mean 10G. Item 10G is to approve the annual.
I'm sorry, 10G.
I got you. Approve the annual dues for the Michigan Townships Association in the amount of $8,521 with a budget amendment in the amount of $1,740 to general admin account 101-248-828-000.
Is there a motion to approve? Supervisor Kersten will make a motion to approve. Is there any support? Support. Trustee Hornberger, discussion? Trustee Vosberg?
I have a question. This, the front page of the agenda said it requires a budget amendment of $1,740, but yet in the backup document, it says that the funds are budgeted. The question is asked, are the funds budgeted? And the answer is yes. If I'm looking at the right, yes, I'm looking at the right thing.
I believe there was an increase from, Karen, was this? So this came through the clerk's office. I think we just looked at it, finance approved. There was an increase in their fees.
Okay, we don't have $1,700 somewhere else that we can move around to fill this?
According to Karen Trombley in finance, we did have to adjust it. And it was, this is just a standard annual due that was addressed actually to the clerk, but we bring it, because the clerk's office will not.
Okay, thank you.
Further questions from the board? Further discussion? I have a motion by Supervisor Kersten, supported by Trustee Hornberger, to approve item 10G. If you would please cast your vote. Results will appear once all votes are cast. Item passes 5-2. Item 10H.
Item 10H is to approve Supervisor Kersten to enter into an agreement with Stag Liuzza LLC and Kirk Huth Lang and Badalamenti PLC for the purpose of providing legal services related to the filing of claims for the 3M and DuPont public drinking water settlements in the aqueous film forming foams litigation, MDL number 2873, and adopt resolution number 2026-27.
So moved.
Motion by Trustee Joseph, supported by Trustee Anderson. Just some quick background on this. This came directly from the attorney, Rob Huth. You want to come up here, Rob, or you want to identify yourself? This is a litigation, a pretty broad litigation that he presented to us. Mr. Siebert did chime in on it. And then I just asked Mr. Huth to come to the board tonight and kind of describe what it is, and it's a massive suit, so.
Yes, thank you. Good evening, board members. Robert S. Huth Jr., Macomb County lawyer, here tonight. I will say that there are 4 communities considering this item tonight, and I chose to come here just because I wanted to see what's going on in Chesterfield Township. I know most of you folks. Glad to answer some questions. The judge has already certified a class, and the judge has already said you folks can be a member of that class, but the ball's in your court. You have to retain counsel, and you have to provide reports to the court by July 1. Assuming that you do meet that hurdle, there's a formula in place, much like I think this community opted in with the opioids, but there's a formula in place that will take your numbers from your community, which includes primarily the number of users, and set forth payments to you. 80% of that will be paid in the first quarter of January 27, 28, and 29. It will not come with the restrictions that other class action settlements do, like opioids that direct you to put it towards certain activities. Whatever entity in Chesterfield Township purchased the water is the entity that the money will come to reimburse you for costs. And the costs are essentially this. I'll sum it up. Your water in Chesterfield is being tested and it does not have PFABs in it. But when it was drawn from its sources, which are two, right? Detroit River, Lake Huron, it did have contamination in that. So your water users paid to remove that contamination. So what this litigation does is it collects from two of the contaminating companies, 3M and DuPont, and says, these community members paid to remove your chemicals, we have to reimburse the system users. So if you opt in, you get reimbursement for some of those costs that you've indirectly paid over the years. Thank you.
Questions from the board? Trustee Joseph?
Yeah, this is really a no-brainer. The PFAS concerns have never been associated with our drinking water. As I listened to you tonight, it's because there were provisions made before it got to our individual households that extracted those contaminants from the water. This provides us with an opportunity. I don't know what the class looks like, and I don't know what the amounts are. We'll know more about that once you're engaged, should the board approve this motion. But I do appreciate you're a very active member of our community in terms of representing various businesses over the years, and my experience with Mr. Kirk and Mr. Huth have been exemplary. Everything that they're involved with is well documented, well supported, well organized, and well presented. So the fact that you're taking the lead in this class action representing the township and its residents who potentially were paying for a service that they shouldn't have had to pay for, to extract the PFAS before it gets to the drinking water is an unnecessary, and I'm glad that there's firms out there like yours looking at this and trying to hold those who profited accountable. So nothing but good things to say about Mr. Kirk and Huth and the rest of the firm. So this, as I said, is kind of a no-brainer. And thank you, Mr. Huth.
Thank you. Yes, we're in Hall Road on Clinton Township. Yes, sir.
This, I think, to you or to our council. I'm assuming that we agreed with the language that was in the letter that we received, because there was a note in there if we choose to change something, but I didn't see any changes. And that's fine. I'm sure they did a fine job. I'll turn mine off.
Mr. Huth sent over the packet to me immediately when he sent it to the board members. I reviewed it. There's a contingent fee agreement in there that I have no objections with. I have no legal objections to the proposal, and I have no legal objections to the documents that were submitted.
Trustee Anderson?
Yeah, just a clarification. I think it was addressed the last meeting. This doesn't cost the township any financially. It'll be, if anything, we might get, I don't like to use the term free money, watching too much TV here, but we stand a chance of picking up some funds from this as it plays out. Thank you.
Thank you.
Clerk Perry?
Any idea what the ballpark figure might be that we might receive?
Yes.
Are you allowed to disclose that?
I am actually allowed to
Thank you.
disclose it. The number, so if you hit the threshold, this is a range. You've decided, you made a motion before I told you the number, but the lawyers have calculated this claim before attorney fees to be between $650,000 and $2.5 million to Chesterfield.
Thank you.
There's a lot of factors that go into it, but, yeah, and that would be primarily paid, 80% of it paid in the first 3 years.
Any further questions? A motion by trustee Joseph, supported by trustee Anderson to approve item 10H. If you would please cast your vote.
Oh,
Item
thank you.
passes 7-0.
First time I've seen that in all the meetings I've attended. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Item 10I.
Item 10I is to request to authorize Chesterfield Township to continue as a participating unit of general local government in the Urban County of Macomb CDBG program by renewing the existing cooperation agreement with Macomb County for the upcoming 3-year qualification period, 2027, 28, and 29.
Motion by trustee Joseph, supported by Supervisor trustee Ornberger. Director Anderson?
Thank you. As stated, this one is about the Urban County of Macomb Community Development Block Grant. That CDBG acronym might resonate with residents and seniors as the funding that we get at the beginning of the year, and we are able to choose to disperse some of that to senior funding or senior programming and others to nonprofit groups. So this is a program that we've been a part of for decades. This one is ending this current period that we are in the end of 2026, and then the request in front of you is a renewal of that same agreement for 27, 28, 29. When I originally got this email and sent it for the renewal and put it onto the agenda, that was the agreement. However, since submitting the agenda item, I was made aware that there's a potential for it to change in the future. What that would look like is if HUD makes a decision and changes what the agreement is, it would come back to the board and you would turn into a resolution rather than just a renewal because it would be considered a new agreement. So at this point, what is in front of you is correct. It is the same agreement. It continues, allows us to continue as part of that CDBG program through Macomb County. If that change does happen, I certainly will bring it back to the board for your approval in a new agreement in front of you. This, like I said, we've been a part of it for decades. It has worked well for us. We remain eligible to receive that CDBG funding through Macomb County if we were to continue. And then also a couple other additives that are listed in your agenda item as part of the program.
Sorry about that, Michelle. Questions from the board? Questions from the board? I have a motion by trustee Joseph, supported by trustee Anderson to approve item 10I. Would you please cast your vote? Results will appear once all votes are cast. Item passes 7-0. Item 10J.
Item 10J is to approve a recommendation to purchase and install new playscape equipment at Pollard Park for a total project cost not to exceed $184,526.37 and approve a budget amendment of $34,526.37.
Is there a motion to approve? Trustee Joseph, supported by Treasurer Elliott. Stephanie.
Good evening. Michelle and I are here, and we are excited to announce that the township was awarded a grant through the M-Parks program for game time funding for a new play structure at Pollard Park. Next slide. This is an excerpt of the award, which basically highlights that Chesterfield Township is primarily focused on social, emotional health and wellness, and they have equity in ability and of all abilities, ages, races, and identities. So this, their scales and everything went into determining what kind of play structure fit the grant award. Next slide. This is an overview of Pollard Park. So you can see the play structures are close to the parking lot, which is very nice. The left side will remain and will get refreshed with some certified playground mulch, whereas the structure on the right will be replaced by what's proposed today. This is a photo of the concept as it was drawn up. The play structure is geared for more towards the 5 to 12-year-old participants. And there are 2 new play structures that will be included in here. The one on the left is a tri-runner, and it has 3 soft seats on ropes that spins around and makes fun different shadows. And then on the right is a falcon's nest, and it's a freestanding rope climber. The breakdown of the costs, you see here the game time quote. The playscape equipment itself was $187,000, and that $80,000 is the grant, which comes in the form of a discount. So we're not waiting for grant funds to come back in. They just give that discount right at the very beginning. So the items that Game Time themselves will be providing is in that blue section. Our facilities team will also be involved to remove the old playscape, and then we will purchase and install the new certified playground mulch and then do some finish work around. So, and if this is approved today, it can all be done by the end of the year.
Thank you. Questions from the board?
We have one more.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No problem. I just want to highlight how this one is an opportunity through Game Time, but also through the Michigan Parks and Recreation Association. That's our statewide association that we're a part of, and so that's how this opportunity came to us for this year. We're also talking, as we are in the plans of updating every playscape that we have across Chesterfield Township, it's always a good idea to improve what we have and systematically do that. And so this is step 2 in that process. We did Brandenburg last year, and this is Pollard Park for this year as we continue to move forward in that. We're also in conversations with other grant opportunities. Play It Forward was another example of one that could be a potential for next year. So just starting the conversations early and constantly looking ahead. With that one in particular, there were several comments on inclusivity of people with special needs, and so this one was an opportunity specifically for that. So while this playground at Pollard Park does have a few features that are ADA accessible or made with accessibility in mind, we would definitely look for that at a future site, maybe even here at the township.
Thank you. Questions from the board? Trustee Anderson.
Yeah, I'm looking at the, I just wonder, what is the actual cost to the township on this? I'm looking at what, unless I'm looking at the wrong thing, I'm seeing a 34,000 ARPA fund going towards it, some other things. What is the actual township cost or to your budget?
Well, just to be clear, we will not have any ARPA funds spent on this playscape. So the ARPA funds are not included in this presentation. We did use ARPA funds at Brandenburg on that playscape. So we had the grant, and then the township's portion was covered by ARPA funds. So this particular request to the township, total project cost is estimated to be $184,526. Now, where you see the budget amendment of like the $34,526, that difference of $150,000 would be repurposing funds in the capital plan that were earmarked for possible soccer field improvements this year to be spent on this project.
So about 150K
To the township, this project to the township would cost $184,000. But right now we have $150 earmarked for that park. That's why we need the budget amendment of the $34,000. But total, it's $184,000.
Of course, questions from the board? Trustee Joseph?
Yeah, just to be clear, because Trustee Anderson and I are he's given me some notes, and the game time grant, if you will, it's structured a little bit differently than some of the other grants where there's a dollar amount awarded. In this particular grant, the 172 that comes from game time pays for the equipment itself, and that is in essence, the bulk of the $184,000. The 172 to 184, as you've outlined in this, and I have the benefit of Josh coming to our Parks and Rec meeting and kind of briefing us, because the removal of the old playscape, the enhancement of the playground mulch, instead of throwing down those wood chips from the ground up tree, we're going to use certified playground mulch to finish the groundwork, and then a $5,000 contingency, which the grant does not cover. The grant covers, if you will, the playtime grant covers the 172. The budget amendments come from the original capital improvement allocation for another project, as you mentioned, the soccer fields.
Right.
So the 150 and the leftover, which is the 34,000, is the total amount of the project, 184, for this particular Pollard Park playscape.
Right,
Correct?
but I think I'm hearing you correctly, but one thing I just want to clarify is that 172, that number itself is not a grant. That is what Game Time will be charging us for that, everything outlined above. The grant portion is only the $87,777.
Got it.
Okay.
Thank you.
So,
I just happened to catch it was item K where that came up when I mentioned about the ARPA funds. So I just want to clarify that. When we get ready, I do have some comments on this, but I'll wait.
I knew what you meant when you were saying that. I knew what you meant on item K. Any more questions to the board? Go ahead.
I just have some comments here. I support the Parks and Recs, believe it or not. I can recall when we had the Weber Park put in years ago, Trustee Joseph and former trustee Demink had a squirt gun fight out there to dedicate it. Short time later, my firstborn granddaughter was toddling around. She was in it, enjoyed it very much. She's now in high school. Concerns I have is unrelated to this project. I would support it at a later time, but I think right now, if you happen to see today's Free Press, maybe unrelated, Westland community's having trouble with Priority Waste. They're refusing to pay them $100,000 for services. Likewise, Dearborn Heights withholding $13,000. Several other things. St. Clair Shores is switching to express waste to pick up their garbage. There's in the afternoon news, Priority is having problems with I believe it's in Indiana, repairs their trucks. They're not paying them. I mean, my concern is I know that we're looking at in 2028 possibly getting a different trash vendor. Supervisor Kersten was quoted in this and not favorable of what's going on. I'm not going to go into that, but I just wonder if Premier suddenly takes the proverbial dump here and we have to somehow get the refuge of our community picked up. I think there might be something coming on here. That's why I would encourage this and all other, if they're not life or death projects, that we put them on hold at least till the middle of August when we find out how the funding is for Parks and Rec and anything here. For that reason, I'm in favor of it, but not at this time.
Thank you. Any further comments from the board? I have a motion by trustee Joseph, supported by treasurer Elliott, to approve item 10J. If you would please cast your vote. Results will appear once all votes are cast. Item passes 5-2. Item 10K.
Item 10K is a recommendation to approve the reallocation of $30,253.42 in previously allocated but unspent ARPA funds from 4 original projects to the previously approved Brandenburg Park Playscape project. Further, to approve the increase of the Brandenburg Park Playscape project by $30,253.42 to the total of $225,152.34. This reallocation will ensure full use of ARPA funds in compliance with federal guidelines. This action does not increase the overall ARPA allocation, but reallocates existing funds between approved projects.
Is there a motion to approve? So moved. Supported by Supervisor Kersten. Karen, all yours.
Okay, this is pretty straightforward. Back in '23, we were awarded the $4.9 million of ARPA funding. By the end of '24, that all had to be allocated to specific projects. And there was 13 projects that you chose to do. The first 8 on this page were completed. 100% of the funds were spent. Page 2, there were four projects that were completed, but they had remaining funds due to various reasons, came in under budget, plans were pushed to the future. So of those funds, $40,000 remained. We actually over allocated by $10,000. It is allowable to ensure that we do spend all the money, we don't have to return any. So I reduced the amount remaining by that $10,000, so there was $30,000 remaining that we do want to put on the Brandenburg Playscape, since that is the final open project for the ARPA funds. So, and in doing that would increase the budget for that project to the $225,000.
Thank you. Questions from the board? Seeing no questions from the board, I have a motion by Trustee Joseph, supported by Supervisor Kersten, to approve item 10K. If you would please cast your vote. Results will appear once all votes are cast. Item passes 6-1. Item 10L. Thank you, Karen.
Item 10L is to approve Spalding Deducker's proposal for professional services, including engineering, topographical survey, and construction plans for cement paths around and in between new playscape areas of Brandenburg Park and future event pad pickleball courts in the amount of $38,500.
Trustee Joseph. Any support? Supervisor Kersten. Mr. Sonnenberg.
Yes, Spalding Deductor's proposed services will assist in obtaining a topographical survey of the worksite, concepts, soil borings, plan review, along with bid and construction management. The Spalding Deductor attached proposal that you have breaks that information down. The proposed scope will detail and assist in completing cement walkways around and connecting the playscapes at Brandenburg Park per the Township Board's ARPA fund allocation. In addition, the scope will provide information and data needed to detail those costs for the proposed event pads and pickleball courts outlined in the 2026 capital plan. Now, if you look up at the map that we have up on the screen, you'll see that the 2026 capital plan includes the additional pickleball court, event pad in that area off to the parking lot. And then if you go to the next slide, Amanda, please. The next slide is a concept that we put together with showing the 3 new playscapes and then how we would interconnect those with a walkway. So moms with strollers and other moms with special needs children can get through from place to place. And I assure you, Christina, that we will meet with you. This is part of the problem. The reason why we're engaging Spalding is because this is something we've talked about at length a while ago, and our current workload, we're so busy, we just want to make sure this gets done by the end of the year. So we met with Spalding in detail, went through their timeline, and they can assure us that they can have this package done and help us manage this project so we don't lose out on those ARPA funds. Any questions?
Questions?
This is kind of a breakdown, sorry.
Trustee Anderson?
This expenditure I do support. We have, the facilities already there and allows our residents access to them. This should have been considered years ago, so good move.
Trustee Joseph?
The inclusion of these paths are for projects that have been outlined in the capital improvement, but are not currently there. So the pickleball courts that are slated to go in, by the way, if you ever go to the community center and, you know, the open pickleball is, you know, just, you can't, I don't think we could build enough pickleball courts to support the interest in, you know, that particular sport. The other thing that this does is, as we make enhancements to you know, the playscapes and the attractions that are spread out among the park, to try to give them the space that they need, the connectivity is problematic. So as you mentioned, the pathways not only help us with you know, greater ADA compliance and greater ADA inclusion, but also just navigating, you know, wagons and strollers and a safe path for, you know, people to enjoy the park. So this is a, and I appreciate Karen coming forward and talking about, this wasn't new ARPA monies. This was just a good management of the previous projects, one of which, you know, we had a need at the PD. And so we used some ARPA money there. When these projects come in under budget, we don't want to lose the money. And so this is a good use of that money. It doesn't require any additional township taxpayer money. And it's in the incorporation of all of the attractions and all of the areas of the park that are laid out in the capital improvement plan. So this was a nice fit right before the deadline expires to lose that money. So this was a good catch and a great you know, application of that ARPA money.
Trustee Vosberg, all yours.
Thank you. Just, I think it's a follow-up to the previous speaker. In the backup information, it says the funds are the funds budgeted, and it says no. So does this not require a budget amendment?
So there's a breakdown of the original ARPA funds that were allocated were $34,000 for the walkways that we had. We reallocated the funds, is what Karen just did, the $30,000, which brings us total ARPA funds that we have to spend by the end of the year is $64,000. Now the proposed services for Spalding are $38,000, which gives us still at $26,000 to put towards the sidewalks, and then we have the money in the capital plan for the vent pad pickleball courts.
Okay, so in the backup material, it says that funds budgeted, the answer would be no, but the funds are coming from being able to move other money that was not spent. Is that correct? All right, thank you.
Any further questions? Treasurer Elliott?
So this agenda item is to do the engineering, and that's basically for the pickleball courts, correct?
No, because, well, we're putting in approximately, I want to say it's roughly 5,000 square feet of sidewalk or walking space between and around each one of the playscapes. The pickleball court is actually only 4,300 square feet of concrete, roughly, if you did a 60 by 68 foot pad. So it's really both. The walking pad is something we wanted to do since we had the playscape in. That was part of our original requirement. But because of the demand of pickleball, we might as well do them both at the same time. What you'll also see us incorporating these concepts, which you'll see when we bring the concepts back, is we asked Spalding to do a little bit like more design around those walkways for some future use and future items like berms and kind of texture the ground a little bit. So it's an all-encompassing, it's not for one or the other. We just figured it made sense to do it, the engineering all at the same time. We're trying to get these parks to where we have a master plan, where if we're gonna spend money, we're doing it in multiple areas instead of just one thing at a time and keep coming back to the board for engineering services. I am a big fan of you pay for a good plan, you get a good project, you get a good budget, and this is part of that first step. That's why we need Spalding as a partner to come in and design both of them at the same time, because we could have one contractor come in and pour the concrete going through the playscapes all the way to the pickleball court all at once. Because we have a short window after the park closes in September to get it done before the frost comes later in the season, depending on weather. It's tough to do work in the fall.
Right. So the So the pickleball court, that cost is different. You've already figured out it's about 26,000 for the playscape cement, and that'll be in September. But are you also planning on building the pickleball courts after the park closes in September?
So what we'll be able to do after we do this is, yes, we'd come back to the board, we would solicit bids, we'd bring those bids back, and we'll discuss it at the board level before we make any moves to the next step. But exactly that, we want to just combine that effort. It'll all be priced à la carte when you see that final proposal, when those bids come in, and you can see where the cost is. The problem with, we have estimates, but the way construction is, as we all know, costs go up and costs go down until we get those final numbers. We can't commit to what the cost project is. I won't say we will come under budget until we get those final numbers.
Any further questions? I have a motion by trustee Joseph, supported by Supervisor Kersten, to approve item 10L. If you would please cast your vote. Results will appear once all votes are cast. Item passes 6-1.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Item 10M.
Item 10M is to approve a recommendation by the Department of Public Service to approve requisition number 26-18303 for an amount not to exceed $8,000 for Hubble, Roth, and Clark. Proposal number 202-60208 for fiscal year 2026, General Engineering Assistance.
Is there a motion to approve? Supervisor Kersten will make a motion to approve. Is there any support? Support. Trustee Joseph? Mr. Kosier, go ahead.
There we go. Yes, this will be to have HRC to support and attend the Township Water, Sewer, and Glewa Commission and assist with the township rate setting going forward.
Questions from the board? Trustee Vosberg?
Is this in our existing budget? I don't see a note to the backup material. The second page? I don't seem to have it. Okay, thank you.
Any further questions from the board? I have a motion by Supervisor Kersten, supported by Trustee Joseph, to approve item 10. Shoot, what number was that? 10M. If you would please cast your votes. Results will appear once all votes are cast. Item 10N. I'm sorry. Item passes 5-2. I'm sorry. Lost focus. Item 10N.
Item 10N is to approve a 36-month subscription to Build Wit Improve software and content for safety and training of Department of Public Works staff, including water and sewer and facilities teams in the amount of $13,500.
Is there a motion to approve? Supervisor Kersten will make a motion to approve. Is there any support? Support. Trustee Joseph. Go ahead.
Thank you. Paul Kosiara and I are here to present this request. We work together as a Department of Public Service to find a training mechanism that would help both of our teams out, and we were very impressed by this product. It is supported by the American Public Works Association, and that's the entity that we're combined working through to get our accreditation for both of our teams. So what's in front of you today is a 3-year subscription to their mobile device. It would has enough users, 25 users for both of our teams, costs about $15 a month per person, per user. But it does offer so much when it comes to training and safety. couple of the highlights that were in the package kind of show what you can do on your mobile device and the different training opportunities, professional developments, and safety videos you can watch. And Paul, myself, and Josh tested some of these videos, and we were very impressed by the quality of the videos, and they do encompass everything we do, from water and sewer, confined spaces, to facilities, chipper use, and everything like that. So next slide, please. This just shows a little snippet of some of their safety videos. So like I said, confined spaces, how to use personal protection equipment. And the nice thing about this app is we can customize this to how we want to use it for the township. We can push it out to the phones. We can use it as a toolbox talk, and everybody can have that at their fingertips. What they'll also be able to do is they have access to these 2,000 preloaded videos. This just kind of shows some of the on-the-job training, which has excavating, grading, earthwork, things like that. Another sample just to show kind of the quality of the videos as they're put together. One nice thing that we liked about this particular product is that we can take our own township videos and upload them here. So just like in the facilities world, the splash pad. We can take a video of how to fix, repair, or run the splash pad, put it in this module, and if we have anybody on site, they can watch that right there on their mobile device. Same with Paul, their team can make.
Well, with the purchase of our new vac truck, that was one of the videos that we already had discussed making with the team, is kind of set aside that video, have them go through the whole operation, not just from the vacuuming and jetting operations, but also the cleaning and maintenance of the machine. So that way afterwards, if you've got an employee that might not be always on that machine, might need a refresher on how to exactly to clean it at the end of the day, to how to put a different jet head on, we can have those videos preloaded into that app, and they can pull that up, watch that video on the job site, and it'll assist big time with their training as well.
Thanks, sir. Question from the board? Trustee Joseph?
Yeah, more of a comment. I have, for pretty much the entire time that I've been on the board, rejected every and any water rate increase, primarily well, one of the reasons, I wouldn't say primarily, but one of the reasons was what I considered to be problems with efficiencies in the department. I felt that there was an incredible amount of people worked hard, but maybe working smarter was the way to go. And the acquisition, Ms. Yana and I'm going to butcher your last name.
Kosiera.
Kosiera.
Oh yeah, I'm used to it.
Mr. Kosiera, I am an enthusiastic supporter of almost everything that you've brought to the board. You do a tremendous amount of research, and the effort that you're putting together in this kind of collaboration, it just really enhances the efficiencies of both of these departments. And this is a modest training tool that you seem to be very enthusiastic about. And I support you, and I support the effort that has really been underway for some time to bring about efficiencies in this department, which ultimately drive down cost for our residents, and also provide residents with opportunities to know what may be available to them, whether it be chipping services or just general department knowledge. This training tool looks to be something that is reasonably priced, that has a wide sort of net. If I heard you correctly, it was 25 users within your departments that can access this resource, and it's a good move forward to the increased efficiencies in both of your respective departments. So thank you for this.
Thank you. Any further comments from the board? I have a motion by Supervisor Kersten, supported by Trustee Joseph, to approve this item 10N. please cast your votes. Results will appear once all votes are cast. And item passes 6-1. Item 10O.
Item 10O is to approve a recommendation by Public Services to update the selected gravel roads to accommodate Macomb County selection requirements and to improve an additional 0.35 miles of gravel road within Chesterfield Township as part of the Macomb County Department of Roads 2026 Limestone Program. 2.65 miles already approved by the Board of Trustees at the May 12, 2026 meeting. The updated township match for the entire 3-mile project will be $30,780.
Is there a motion to approve? Trustee Vosberg. And supported by Treasurer Elliott. Go ahead, Paul.
Yes, this will be an increase of 0.35 miles to the original approval we got for the selected gravel roads. A little background on the way we select these roads. Each spring we go out, we kind of take what complaints we get coming into the office, then we go drive these roads as well to kind of get a feel for where the worst pothole areas are, and then to try to address these gravel roads for the county roads. We initially got the approval for the I believe it was 2.65 miles from the county. They agreed to the roads that we had selected, and then as they prepared the approval and everything to have the agreement signed and everything, that kind of in review of the roads a little more, they realized that some of the roads we had done in the last couple of years. So they approached us to possibly change those roads, and that's where we came up with the Bates Road section. And then by selecting Bates Road, we're also able to complete the full 3 miles of gravel road improvements that the county offers.
Thank you. Questions from the board? Seeing none, I have a motion by Trustee Vosberg, supported by Treasurer Elliott, to approve item 10O. If you would please cast your vote. Results will appear when everyone's. And item passes 7-0. Item 11, addendums, there are none. Item 12, public comments. 3-minute time limit. The mic is open.
James Luck, Chesterfield Township. I don't know about you guys. Let's see. Spend $13,000 for a little program. You know, there's such a thing as YouTube, OSHA, my OSHA, and how to do things the right way, the wrong way, and the simple way. All on YouTube, free. But hey, you guys have plenty of money to spend. You know, I don't know what happened to Clerk Barry. Beginning of the year, she says, I'm not saying yes to anything that is a necessary expense. She's been going down the road, yes, 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 with the rest of them. It's unreal. The board tonight has spent in excess of over a $250,000 on Parks and Rec tonight. And there's been a couple other projects you've done earlier this year. But yet, you want to ask for millage. You keep taxing us, you keep spending our money. Evidently, I don't think you need that millage. You seem to have plenty of money right here every week to buy more stuff for Parks and Rec. On and on and on. What this deal about the millage, somebody wants to line there, you know, and everything you have a budget adjustment on it. Every time you buy something, a budget adjustment, you know. Put a PDF on here what the budget adjustment is, what it's for, how much. You don't have it in there. How do we know? I'm looking at that playscape and there's $34,000 going on that playscape. For what? You want an additional adjustment of $34,000 for what? You don't explain it. You haven't explained any budget adjustments you've had this year on any project. You don't explain it. But you're open, yes. Absent of knowledge is not being open. All right? Good night.
John Speaker, Chesterfield Township. Again, I address the board by calling this board tax and spend. That's all I seen tonight was tax and spend. Tax us more and spend every penny more that you collect from us. The millage is a want. It is not a need in this township. You know what a need is in this township? Sidewalks, our infrastructure, making sure the roads are passable, people's vehicles aren't being damaged. At the corner of 23 and Gratiot, I know there's several board members that have, in the last 6 months, you've had to go through that corner. I've just been keeping tabs. There's been a door on the corner of 23 and Gratiot where the light is going southbound for 6 months. You mean to tell me, Supervisor Kersten, you haven't been able to get somebody from facilities and operations to pick that door up? The lawn company goes around the door and the trash that's there. That Gratiot corridor, that's the main artery to our township. That looks horrible on that corner. And I can't believe that not one board member has not seen that. I don't believe that for a second. You guys pass, the majority board passes, free access to the park, to Brandenburg. It's not free. It's, to me, in my opinion, it's a bribe to try to get the residents to vote for this ridiculous millage. So there's nothing free. We pay our taxes. Most of the board members, I've looked at what you pay in property taxes, and I'm going to use one particular member as an example because I don't have time to use everybody, but using Trustee Joseph as an example, who pays just under $3,000 a year in taxes, I guess, $100 hit or $110 hit doesn't seem a lot to you. But for somebody who has an assessed value of $200,000 or $300,000, that's going to be a $200 or $300 hit. And from that point on, every year it's going to go up. Now, give me one reason this majority board can't manage the money that they have now properly. And you want the residents to give you another $2.5 million to mismanage? Again, on a want and not a need? People, when they can't afford their homes, they lose their homes. When they get behind in their property taxes, they're not going to have a home. Again, you guys aren't putting.
Thank you, sir. Have a good night. Any further comments from the public?
All right, I'd volunteer as tribute to help with the Laserfish documents, put a special needs parent to the task, and I'd get it done. I've asked plenty of documents from you, clerk, and I've never got them. Not one of your documents on early voting. I have given this board, you've received a plethora of documents that I've provided, each one of you. So I'd like to see that outcome. In all seriousness, as school is out for the year, I've noticed while dropping my daughter off at school at Aldred across from the Veterans Home, my issue over the past school year has been speeding during school hours. There is a large tree that hangs over not only the power lines, but blocks that flashing school speed limit sign. I really enjoy pulling up to the school, seeing posted police officers. Even more enjoyment comes when they light someone up. But what I'm asking, I'm not sure if it's a township or the veterans issue, but with the veterans pathway, I'd like to know who I would speak to about cutting that tree back so it is visible. The other special needs mom that came forward, very passionate about the lack of transportation for her adult daughter with special needs, as well as housing, I think are issues that we should look into. My daughter won't be cute and young forever, and programs for our kids matter too. Trustee Joseph, Thank you for speaking on the special needs program from Roseville. I know it can be a hot button topic for some special needs families. Sometimes it can scare people because families take it as if it's a mandatory system, and immediately people think of a database on our special needs kids. But for my family in particular, I appreciate the phone call from Director Bassett on the program that Chesterfield Police has in place, which is voluntary for families like mine in the event there is an issue at our residence. It's documented that we have a nonverbal child with special needs in our home who may not respond to verbal commands. Now, not the QR code or the visual public safety officers to identify a person in a special or in a vehicle with special needs. I'd like that if talks are had, that this be considered for my family in particular. We don't want any identifiable logos on our vehicles. I'm already vulnerable in public with 2 young children, one being special needs. So though I carry a CPL, I have to be more vigilant. So maybe talks on something more private in the vehicle that could notify, again, volunteer, notify a police officer that there is an individual, again, but in emergency circumstances, I don't think a police officer is going to be looking for a logo or this or that. My daughter has straps on her car seat that do like bright, bold letters that say nonverbal, autistic, may not comply to the commands or whatnot. So just to put that out there. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so as of 2 weeks ago's meeting, it was my first time back, I felt a little gypped at the idea that I was speaking up here and I got cut off in the last 15 seconds, and it was over something inspirational and motivational, especially coming back home from war zone, and yet I will listen to people up here spend minutes attacking each other and attacking members of the audience. And I wonder where the prioritizations of this community are and this board. Because at the end of the day, you wonder why people don't have much trust in such a government. Well, because that's where the priorities lie. And that's kind of an issue that is present not only in this board, you could see it all across this country, you could see it in the state government and at the federal government, but at the end of the day, that is the prioritization that takes hold. When you lose the trust, this is something I've been saying for years, of that trust, that community trust, that public trust, then you wonder why people would be angry at government in general. Well, therein lies the truth. So while I was overseas, one of the books I'd read was Robert Caro's book, The Power Broker, which is about Robert Moses. I don't know if anybody knows who that is, but back in the part of the century, of last century, he was the commissioner of parks in New York City. And you would think, that's just a typical administrative job, not much going on there. This was a man who accumulated so much power that he became the essence of it in the country. He could tell the mayor of New York City, the governor, even the president, no. That's the kind of power he accumulated. And he did so through a bunch of different tactics. A lot of the times he would take on roles and responsibilities that didn't even pay any money, but he just got roles and responsibilities to do whatever he wanted. And that comes into play with another book that Caro had written, and it goes about basically the axiom of power corrupts absolutely. Well, that's actually wrong. The truth of the matter is that power reveals. It reveals the kind of person you are, even when you didn't have it. But now that you do, you're able to do the things that you always wanted. And thus, the person who's generally good does good with it. The person who's generally bad does bad with it. That is the mentality behind it. But ultimately, the reason I bring all this up is that you have the ability, even with a little bit of power on a community board, to make a big impact on people's lives. And one of the first things you can do is understand that at the end of the day, what happens between the people and the board matters. And ultimately, it's behavior, it's respect, and it's understanding, yeah, you're gonna deal with people that aren't gonna like you. But
Thanks, sir. Any more comments from the public?
Good evening. I'm Josh Brandt. I'll start off by saying if you've seen this trash on the side of the road and it hasn't been picked up in 6 months, you're probably not the best contributor to this community, and I will gladly go tomorrow after work and pick it up. So I want to speak on the Parks and Recs millage proposal, and specifically something that I believe that has not been talked about enough. The future of our township and the need to attract younger families. Now, let me be clear. I don't think anyone is excited about paying higher taxes. I certainly don't. Every dollar matters to families right now, and I understand why people are cautious anytime taxes increase, even a little bit. But also, we have to ask ourselves a bigger question. What kind of township do we want to be in 10, 20, or 30 years from now? If we want a community to survive and thrive long-term, we need younger families to want to move here, raise children here, and invest their future here. And the reality of this, younger families look for in communities to invest in quality of life. They look for parks, trails, playgrounds, sports programs, community events, and places where their kids can safely grow up outdoors instead of sitting inside on screens all day. When families are deciding where to buy a home, they're not just comparing tax rates, they're also comparing communities. They ask, is this a place where our kids will have opportunities? Is this a place where families are welcome? Is this a place that feels alive and growing? Parks and recreation matter because they send a message about who we are and where we are headed. Without growth and younger families coming in, communities slowly age, enrollment in schools decline, local businesses struggle, and eventually townships begin losing energy and momentum. I don't want that for our township. I want our township to be a place where children are at ball fields, playgrounds are full, community events bring people together. That kind of investment pays off far beyond the dollar amount in tax bill. This is not just about building parks, this is about building a future. We can either slowly become the township that people pass through, or we can become a township where young families choose to stay, grow roots, and build their lives. I believe investing in parks and recreation is investing in the future of this community. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any further comments from the public? I'll bring it back up to the board. Trustee Ornberger. Trustee Vosberg. Trustee Anderson.
I'd like to congratulate our newest officers, Jordyn Chapman, Adam Green, John Moore, and Shawn Kozlowski. Congratulations on surviving the academy, and welcome to Chesterfield PD. Thank you, gentlemen and ladies.
Trustee Joseph.
Thank you. I echo Trustee Anderson's congratulations to our new officers. That cadet program has been massively beneficial to the township. Just quickly trying to tick off, OSHA and YouTube videos are not close to the package that was presented, and despite the fact that you say you don't explain it, you had department heads who explained it over and over with slides and in very detailed, in short, they can explain it to you, they can't understand it for you. The tax and spend argument and the Mr. Brand, I think you hit the nail on the head. He drives by that debris hoping that it's there every day so that he can blog about it and come to the board meeting and attack the supervisor. It's what he does. He looks for ugly, toxic things that he can blame and come to the board with misspelled signs and be disruptive. I'll give you an example. Laura Chapman is a newest member of our Parks and Rec. Well, she's not the newest, but she's a new member of our Parks and Rec Commission. She routinely posts positive feedback regarding her position on the millage. Every single time that she posts, well, let me back up. I took one of her posts, a sign that she brought to a Parks and Rec Commission meeting that she worked with her neighbor, designed it, paid for the signs, and distributed a small number of signs in support of the millage. It's a professionally designed and constructed sign. I posted that sign in admiration to Ms. Chapman for always being positive. She has nothing negative, and what I got for posting that sign is a contest of the malcontents. They lined up and took every shot you can imagine, including Trustee Joseph seems to be looking for a date. You know, that's the way that they interact. The 6 candidates for Village Idiot took turns cackling at one another and talking about all kinds of filth, laughing, joking, Ms. Chapman underhandedly working to get a job in the township. These are just the people that walk among us. That's what they do. They're, as I say, running perpetual contests to be the village idiot, which might be a campaign that you could win. Your past campaigns haven't worked out, but this could be a race that you could win, resoundingly win. The pointing out of my tax, I live humbly. I'm in my starter home. My taxes are low because I haven't moved. I've been there for 30 years. There's space in the backyard for a hammock and a cigar. I'm content. I live within my means. And you're right. It doesn't influence my decision to vote in the affirmative for the millage because I wholeheartedly agree with the position that Mr. Brandt espoused, which is this could be a township that attracts young families and sends a message that we take care of our seniors as well. The senior programming that is set to expand with this millage. However, I do respect those. I have a friend who lives in $1 million home on the water. His tax burden as a result of the millage will be significantly more than mine. I grew up as a worker. I was a trench guy. I pack a picnic basket of sandwiches, go down to Brandenburg. He takes his family to Aruba. I understand what is available to him and what was available to me. I think the township hopefully will support families and the support of young people. I don't vilify or take any disparaging views of individuals who see it differently than me. This is a referendum on the will of the resident. What do you want? What do you want in a Parks and Rec? It's an opportunity to hear directly instead of the board, making that decision. This is an opportunity for the residents to say, this is what I want. I want expanded parks. I want things for my family, for my children. I want things for my aging parents. This is an opportunity for them. Every single chance, whether I'm on a Parks and Rec Commission or from this position, I will advocate for improvements in our park that are inclusive of special needs kids. And I apologize for bringing forward this program that I just heard about last night in Roseville, because you're right, the objective isn't to stigmatize or to display. I think the vehicle passenger program is akin to the residential program. It's completely voluntary, and the QR code that I was referencing was along the lines of seatbelt restraint or something within the vehicle, not a demarcation on the vehicle. But I will take it to our Public Safety Committee, and we'll explore it. For the amount of input that you've given to this township, and I've talked about it before, the amount of time that you spend giving to this township with your family, with your daughter, is commendable. And every opportunity that I get, when I think about kids with special needs, I think of you and Miss Larice, who is also a very giving person And when I see her and her son, I will say that maybe we should explore a track for Oliver, because he is very, very fast, and Caitlin has a difficult up with him sometimes. But I will always push and advocate for my children as well as your children, which oftentimes get marginalized with the improvements of the greater good. Sometimes we inadvertently forget about those who need our help the most. Mr. Brand, continue to be positive. When you see the wannabe influencers on Facebook, pay no attention to them, because most of the township doesn't. They thrive in this environment. This is their big moment. They get to the podium and they espouse the poison and toxicity, but it's a small fraction. It's a small fraction of the residents who are out there. Thank you.
Treasurer Elliott?
Thank you.
Clerk Perry?
I was very supportive and still am of the park passes being used by the residents, and it does sound like 2,000 passes seems like a lot when we hear that number. And I know that the Parks and Rec employees were very excited to see that many people enthusiastically coming, but that's only 5%, less than 5% of the population that's actually coming and using those, getting park passes. It's a very small portion of the population. I'm excited that people are using the park and they're being able to. They've been paying for it. David's been paying for it for 30 years. I've been paying for it for over 25 years. And so it's good to see that that's used, but it's still a small percentage of the population. That park pass, if we were to sell them, it was at $14 for residents. For the seasonal pass, that would have been a $28,000 item, $28,000 cost to the township if that was at the $14. If some of them are senior citizens, they would have paid the $8. So it's not out of all the things that we spend, I felt like that was not that big of a spend for the value that is being had. And I do hope that more people, so please spread the word to get more people to get involved and be able to use their parks. I'm a big proponent and have been for replacing our aging playscapes. And every time I go around, I am very concerned and have voiced that here at this township about the playscapes, because that's where our children play. And so I support anytime we're finally upgrading those. Those playscapes were put in before my children. I think they're all adults now. So most of those were put in long before they were at the current stage of their life, and now my grandchildren play on those, who are all residents here of the township. I did not support the agenda item that involved the pickleball courts, because I was the person that was really advocating for the playscapes, and when I advocated to use ARPA funds for the playscapes at Brandenburg Park, it was not to include the pickleball courts. So those were separate, and that was just something that I wanted to mention. And as also was mentioned at the beginning of the year about the MTA Township of Excellence application. We were supposed to, for several years, we've talked about it. And so I am hoping that an agenda item will come at the next board meeting, that we will be applying for the Township of Excellence through the Michigan Township Association. Thank you.
Clerk Beard?
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. Once a year, myself and Attorney Chris Anderson hold records management and FOIA training for all of our staff. It's mandatory for all department heads to attend. The reason for that is because the state of Michigan dictates that the department heads are responsible for the records in which they control in their department. So they're all required, and all of them have attended records management training. Elected officials are not required to do that, although they do create records every day, whether it's a text message, an email, written documentation, whatever the case might be. The only elected official that I have a record of attending that training is Treasurer Elliott. It would be very helpful, I think, for the balance of those who haven't attended to do so in the future. If they can't attend, we can arrange to meet with them individually, myself and Attorney Anderson, to go over it. We also have a presentation slideshow that we can also send as well if anyone would like that. Just simply request it and we will send it to you. Because it's very important that everyone who creates township records is aware of what they are and how to properly manage them. Because as we teach in training, the records that Chesterfield Township holds do not belong to Chesterfield. They don't belong to me, they don't belong to the FOIA coordinator, they don't belong to the department heads. We are simply the custodians of those records. Every record that's created here in the township, even if it's a text message between myself and one of my staff members relative to a government function, that record belongs to the people of the state of Michigan. And we are required to follow the state of Michigan guidelines for how to manage those records. We have done so better than most townships, and that's coming from our attorney, actually, who's made that statement, that we do it better. That was Attorney Anderson's assessment. And we've worked together for a long time. So I'm more than happy to make that available. If there's any member of the public who wants to know what we are required to do when it comes to managing those records, what we are required to do when it comes to FOIA, all of that can be made available to you. Simply let us know and we can send you everything that we have trained all of our staff on. The issues of why we needed a new FOIA coordinator, former FOIA coordinator Michelle Niza did send the board an additional in-depth explanation. That was her choice. But that is a public record as well. So if you want to see it, you can FOIA that. Personally, as the new FOIA coordinator, I will tell you, I would rather you just ask me for the record and I'll give it to you. If you want to go through the FOIA process, it's available for you. But if you want the record, simply request it and I'll be happy to provide that as soon as we possibly can. Thank you.
Township FOIA Guidelines and Procedures, public documents on our website, should read it. APO 16-2021, should read it. The clerk and her responsibilities are described in there. That's not the question. The question is the management of said records within this building. And again, the frustration of said employee, I completely understand it because my frustration with how FOIA is managed and the nonsense that people are put through to get records is disgusting. And it solely is the responsibility of the clerk and her designees. So you can obfuscate your statements and mask them, but there's an appeal going on. Why did that was on the agenda and then all of a sudden disappeared. And that attorney should come in here and speak. In fact, I think I might invite him. The nonsense that is just, the bloviate every meeting here is literally disgusting. Take some responsibility, come to work and manage the staff and do your job.
I do have a question.
Can I finish?
Yeah.
I could go on and on. I really don't want to. I don't want to have this public battle. But you insist that if this goes on. Shake your head no. It's never your fault. It's never your responsibility. It's always obfuscating to somebody else. And the poor designee that you've designated, you set her up for failure. Every day you set her up for failure. And anybody who wants a record of the previous 2 years ago when she resigned as clerk, we'll make that public too. That's an interesting email. We have a continued meeting with the Department of Roads. If the public wants to know, please go to the Department of Roads website. They're updating constantly. There are several projects within the township that are relevant. They've also provided, and the board got a list today of the 3-year program that is coming to our community. And again, that is a lot of advocating, a lot of sitting down with the Department of Roads, coming up with PASER studies to make improvements, to the point to where a lot of these discussions, there are private roads, and the SAD process is not going to go away, and literally that's our only recourse to fix some of these roads. I'm very anxious for the audit from Riemann. Spoke with Mr. Steve Adair today from Woodhill Group. That process will be, or at least draft documents will become forthcoming. Very excited and looking for, obviously, more recommendations and more policy-driven practices for the township that should have been installed years ago, but we're still working on them. A whole new opportunity for us. When our stage shows up, we can have events there and get some of the veterans something out of that building to enjoy. That's the goal and direction. I had a very interesting meeting. Priority waste, yes, it's an issue. We are dealing with them. We're back to the bad practices. We had a good meeting with their new president today. He actually met with the township supervisors. He's offering no excuse. He's falling on the sword. There's an infusion of millions of dollars from an investment company that is coming in. Again, he just asked that we be patient and give him an opportunity over the next few weeks. New trucks, new staff, new credit lines. Vendors are being everything that Mr. Stamper had I honestly told him, I said, why don't you just let us out of the agreement? Just let us out of the agreement. Let's get a new vendor in here. You got 2 years left. And we are expediting our bidding process as we speak now to get to at least a reliable vendor. He understands it. He understands our position. I've invited him here to address the board. He's only a week in, but it was a good meeting. We'll see what happens. There is 2 years on our current contract. We are in the bidding process and interviewing potential new vendors to come in 2028 or sooner. The question is going to be based on the track record from Priority, they are one of the vendors that's asking to bid again. So that's going to be a discussion. Billing is a huge issue. There may be some conversation that that company, the Priority, would like to come in and sit down with us and discuss about taking over billing. And also, they've acknowledged that there may be a need to waive certain fees. Again, that is nothing I can promise now, but it's a discussion that's on the table and they are willing to have. We do need, as was mentioned, we never collected data on any of our parks. And Brandenburg Park, we made it the decision by the board to make it free. Was a great opportunity to begin tracking and collecting some of that data. The discussion needs to move now from, we've got gates up, we've got a house, entrance house. What do we want to look at in the future for fees in park and entrance fees, whether it be community, non-community, outside residents? That discussion needs to take place, and I would really like to roll it into the 2027 budget and amend the long Exhibit A fee structure that the townships had for years. Want to congratulate the police officers, and on the backside, I want to give a shout out to Amanda Metapenian And Caitlin Larice, you got an email, we brought on Caitlin Larice from the Bay Voice as an ex-reporter. She is with Amanda, who's doing a great job. She's expanding our public releases, our public profile, and across all platforms. Both of them, for the last 2 weeks, I've got nothing but compliments. And again, the release of public information shouldn't be an issue, and whether you like it or not. It shouldn't be a difficult topic, whether it be our own releases or public records you're looking for. They should be easily, readily, and available and accessible at a moment's notice. So, Mr. Brand, appreciate your philosophy. I'm right next to you. And we have a closed session scheduled. So with that being, I'm sorry, Trustee Hornberger again.
I do have a couple questions about records. Do we know exactly how many boxes of records we have sitting over at the community center?
I'll defer to the
100,
clerk.
200? And do you have a timeline set up for when they're going to be scanned in? It's been 12 years. Like, is there an exact timeline set up for when they're going to be scanned in and when it's going to be finished?
So the number of boxes that we have, we've been working through that, trying to put together the boxes properly. So I don't know how many she currently has over there that are completed and the ones that are still to be gone through. We can start scanning. We needed to wait until we had the servers in. We went live with Laserfish this week, by the way. We're using it. We used it today. Been using it all week. But so as soon as we are able to get those in order, again, she's going to be gone for a few months. With the elections coming up, we're going to take that up again right after November, right after the election's end.
Anything else? Did I miss anything? Thank you, Clerk Berry. We have 14A, closed session. Supervisor Kersten will make a motion to enter into closed session. Is there any support? Clerk Berry, would you read it? I'm sorry.
Closed session is to consult with Township Attorney regarding trial or settlement strategy in connection with specific pending litigation in the matter of Tides on 23 LLC versus Chesterfield Township, Macomb County Circuit Court docket number 2025-004426AA, and Tides on 23 LLC versus Township of Chesterfield et al., Macomb County Circuit Court docket number 2025-005414AA, pursuant to Section 8(1)E of the Open Meetings Act. The closed session will also consider the written legal opinion of the Township Attorney dated May 26, 2026, pursuant to Section 8(1)H of the Open Meetings Act.
Supervisor Kersten will make a motion for entering closed session. Is there any support?
Support.
Clerk Berry. All those, Clerk Berry, would you call the roll?
Supervisor Kersten.
Aye.
Clerk Berry, aye. Trustee Anderson. Aye. Trustee Joseph.
Aye.
Trustee Hornberger. Trustee Vosberg. Treasurer Elliott.
At 10:24. Supervisor Kersten will make a motion to return to open session.
Support.
Motion by, or support by Clerk Berry. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Back in open session at 10:43. As a result of the closed session, Supervisor Kersten will make a motion to direct Attorney Siebert to file the appropriate appeal on case number 2025-004426-AA. Is there any support? Motion by Supervisor Kersten, supported by Trustee Vosberg. Clerk Berry, would you call the roll?
Supervisor Kersten.
Aye.
Trustee Vosberg. Trustee Anderson.
Aye.
Trustee Joseph.
Aye.
Trustee Hornberger. Treasurer Elliott.
Aye.
Clerk Berry, aye.
Motion passes. Item 15, adjournment.
Motion to adjourn.
Clerk Berry, motion to adjourn. Support. Trustee Anderson, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned at 10:44.